Chapter 51. Since that was the case, Xiaochen did not hesitate any longer. When the auctioneer announced the start of the bidding, he immediately called out his bid. It was still 10 million gold taels. The chaos that Xiaochen originally imagined did not appear. The people below were still numb to Xiaochen's bid. The only ones who felt anxious were the people who placed the bids. Their emotions could be said to be a mixture of joy and worry. They were afraid that Xiaochen was just a braggart, but they also thought that with the great reputation of Linlang Pavilion, it would be impossible for them to go back on their word. After the auction ended, someone immediately brought the 3 items that Xiaochen had auctioned off to Xiaochen's room and checked them carefully. Rainbow Flame Python Inner Core, Inferior Grade Spirit Stone, and Superior Grade Frost Iron. There were no problems with the quality. Xiaochen did not leave immediately. He handed the frost iron in his hand to Ao Jiao and said, "Can I refine it here? I feel that there are 2 people outside staring at me." Ao Jiao said indifferently, "Your perception is not bad. There are indeed 2 flies hiding outside. There is no special requirement for the location to refine this superior grade frost iron." That piece of frost iron was about the size of a school bag. When Xiaochen held it in his hand, he felt that it weighed at least 100 kilograms. It was as black as ink and looked very thick. Ao Jiao easily held the frost iron in her hand. She waited a few times before tossing it into the air. A white flame shot out from her palm and enveloped the frost iron in the air. Xiaochen carefully observed Ao Jiao's every move. He memorized every step that she took. The method of refining superior-grade frost iron was an extremely rare secret technique in the continent. It was only in the hands of a few people. In the Great Qin Empire, only the heavenly craft manor possessed such a technique. This was a good opportunity for him to learn. The white flame burned slowly. Xiaochen discovered that this flame was very strange. It did not have the ferocity and tyranny of a normal flame. Instead, it gave off a warm feeling. What kind of flame is this? Xiaochen wondered. Ao Jiao had the intention to teach Xiaochen. While maintaining the flame, she explained, "This flame is not a flame cultivated by a cultivator. It is a human flame that has existed in the world for a long time. It is called the Bone Ghost Fire. Back then, the Thunder King, Sangmu, subdued it while cultivating in the 9 Hells Purgatory. After he died, he left this flame to me." Human fire? There was actually such a strange flame existing between heaven and earth. It was really an eye-opener. However, he didn't know what was so special about this human flame. Ao Jiao continued to explain that there were 4 types of extremely precious flames in the world, namely human flame, dragon flame, ghost flame, and heavenly flame. In the Martial Heaven continent, there were a total of 9 dragon veins. At the end of these dragon veins was the Imperial Dao flame. Of the 9 dragon flames, it was known that 5 had been taken by someone. The remaining 4 had never been found. Aside from the fact that the dragon flames were buried 10,000 meters underground and the environment was incomparably harsh, the most important reason was that the remaining 4 dragon veins could change. According to legend, the possessor of the dragon flames could establish a dynasty. Unless one had the fate of a ruler, it would be impossible to find the dragon flames. Ghost flames existed in places of extreme Yin. They were mysterious and unfathomable, possessing the might of gods and ghosts. There were 2 places of extreme Yin in the continent. One was the profound Yin cave, which was tens of thousands of meters deep, and the other was the 9 Hells Purgatory, which was known as Hell in the mortal world. These 2 places were forbidden lands of the continent. However, the ghost flames that existed in them had been taken away by senior experts thousands of years ago. However, in the past few years, the ghost flames rarely appeared in the mortal world. No one knew if new ghost flames had appeared in these 2 places of extreme Yin. The heavenly flame was publicly recognized as the most horrifying flame in the world. According to legend, it was a flame that could refine the entire world. This kind of flame was only recorded in the history books. It was possessed by the Tianwu Emperor, who founded the Tianwu dynasty and unified the continent 10,000 years ago. Following the destruction of the Tianwu dynasty, this kind of flame that could destroy the heavens and extinguish the earth had already disappeared in the long river of history. As for the final human flame, it was rather special. It was not a natural flame. It should be said that it was not formed purely from the power of nature. It was a special flame formed from the energy of the martial god, the strongest cultivator in the mortal world, after he passed away. When his body and soul were destroyed, it was formed from the energy of the martial god. After the martial god died, the huge energy in his body would not disappear. After this huge energy settled for a long time, it would form all sorts of strange flames. These were called human flames. When Shaochen heard the introduction, he felt his heart tremble. The world was vast, and there were all sorts of strange things. It was not something that could be seen in this small Mo city. He could not wait to go out and explore the world. Unfortunately, the promise of 10 years was not up yet. Since Shaochen had agreed to do something, he would naturally do his best. He could not leave now. Do martial gods really exist in this world? Shaochen asked. Ao Jiao's gaze was fixed on the frost iron wrapped in flames. She replied, "Of course, there are countless geniuses in the world. Although it is rare to reach the martial god realm, it is not impossible. Furthermore, according to the legends, there are mysterious existences above the martial god realm." Shaochen continued to ask, "That Thunder King, Sangmu, did he break through to the martial god realm?" Ao Jiao said indifferently, "He was just one step away from it, yet he was killed by someone. I can only say that it was hard for him to change his fate." Shaochen found it hard to calm down for a long time. Someone as strong as the Thunder Emperor was actually killed by someone in the end. This was simply unbelievable. Could the person who killed him be the legendary martial god? Shaochen told Ao Jiao about the doubts in his heart. Ao Jiao only said indifferently, "This is not something you should be thinking about now. Although you inherited the Thunderwood Sword's inheritance, you do not have to bear the responsibility of taking revenge for him." This did not seem right. How could there be benefits for no reason in this world? Unexpectedly, he did not have to bear any responsibility. This caused Shaochen to feel very surprised. With regards to Ao Jiao's appearance, Shaochen had always been more worried than happy. At this moment, when he heard her say this, he felt slightly relieved. However, Ao Jiao's next words nearly caused Shaochen to vomit blood. "Although you do not have to bear the responsibility of taking revenge for the Thunder King, it is hard to say if trouble will come looking for you. So, trashy master, you better become stronger as soon as possible." Shaochen was completely speechless. There were too many mysteries surrounding Ao Jiao. Why did the sword in the Thunder King's cave break? Who killed the Thunder King? How did he become her master? Until now, Shaochen knew very little. Furthermore, no matter how he asked Ao Jiao, she would not say anything. Today, she revealed a little, but it was still very confusing. Hu Qi. The black profound iron that was enveloped by the flames had already turned into a ball of molten metal. It was clear that the heat contained within the bone spectre flame was a huge contrast to the warmth on the surface. The two of them spoke for less than 5 minutes and the superior grade frost iron had already turned into a ball of molten metal. If Shaochen used the purple thunder true fire to refine it, it would take at least half a day. With such a huge difference, one could imagine how strong the bone spectre flame was. Ao Jiao shouted lightly. Her adorable face revealed a serious expression once again, causing others to be unable to restrain their laughter. Suddenly, a glowing broken sword appeared in her right hand. She brandished it at the molten metal within the flames. In an instant, sparks flew in all directions in the booth. The flames gave off an intense explosion in the air. When Shaochen saw the situation, he quickly hid behind Ao Jiao. Every time a strand of flame shot out, the bone spectre flame lost a drop of molten metal. Shaochen thought to himself, this should be the removal of the impurities in the superior grade frost iron. Normally, when the frost iron reached superior grade, there would be very few impurities in it. If one wanted to remove the impurities without wasting the essence of the frost iron, one had to be very careful. Aside from having a good eye, the most important thing was the speed at which the saber was drawn. Although the molten metal looked still, it was actually flowing at a high speed within it. Xiao Chen released his spiritual sense and entered the inner world of the molten metal. Before him was a fiery red world. Even though it was Xiao Chen's spiritual sense that entered, he could still feel the horrifying temperature. In this fiery red world, there were clumps of unknown substances that Xiao Chen could not identify. They were constantly being squeezed and flowing. Xiao Chen observed carefully for a long time before he finally discovered something. The pure black substance should be the essence of the frost iron. Occasionally, there would be some gray iron residue being removed from the black substance. The short sword in Ao Jiao's hand was as precise as the precision instruments in his previous life. When the gray substance was removed, the essence was not wasted at all, it was all preserved. Xiao Chen withdrew his spiritual sense and looked at Ao Jiao's cute face once again. His eyes were filled with admiration. Not only did Ao Jiao know how to refine medicine, but the skill that she displayed now was clearly not something that an ordinary person could do. How many secrets does this little girl have? Can I really trust her completely? It's done. Ao Jiao heaved a sigh of relief and said joyfully. She withdrew the bone specter flame into her hand and waved it gently. A fist-sized piece of frost iron appeared in her petite hand. Her eyes revealed an expression of joy. Trashy master, this is for you. Xiao Chen received the peak-grade frost iron from Ao Jiao. He was incomparably happy. This fist-sized piece of peak-grade frost iron was more than 100 times more valuable than the superior-grade frost iron. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen discovered that Ao Jiao's expression had become even weaker. There was a fire in his heart for no reason. You lied to me earlier, right? Your complexion is so terrible. You must have done something dangerous when you went out earlier. You even lied to me, saying that the physique of a sword spirit is different from a human's. Hence, you cannot judge things by their complexion. Your current situation is caused by overexertion. Ao Jiao quibbled, you actually used the eyes of a human to judge a sword spirit. You are really trash and an idiot. You can deal with the flies outside yourself. After Ao Jiao finished speaking, she seemed to know that she was in the wrong. She entered the universe ring and did not come out again. Xiao Chen sighed in his heart, your sister, no wonder you are called Ao Jiao. The Thunder King did not give her the wrong name. Her Tsundere attribute is still very high. Xiao Chen released his spiritual sense and carefully observed the two Tang clan disciples hiding outside. The corner of Xiao Chen's mouth curled up into a cold smile. Trying to target this young master? You are too inexperienced. Chapter 52. After Tang Feng placed all the items into his universe ring, he tightened the black cloak on his body and left the private room, heading for the back door of Linlang Pavilion. He ignored the two Tang clan disciples following behind him. One of the two people behind him said, go and report to second young master, I will follow him first. Good, you follow him first. Do not lose him. Otherwise, if second young master gets angry, you and I will be in trouble. Tang Feng, who was in the private room, was anxiously waiting for news from his subordinates. That inferior grade spirit stone was something his father had repeatedly instructed him to obtain. At this moment, someone had disrupted his plans and he did not complete his mission. If he returned empty-handed, he would definitely be punished. Bang! The door to the private room opened. When Tang Feng saw his follower, he was overjoyed. He quickly said, is there any news? Who is so daring to snatch something that I have my eyes on? That follower rushed over, panting non-stop. He wanted to say something but could not. Tang Feng scolded, trash, if you have something to say it quickly. If that person escapes, I will take your life. The follower's heart tightened and he said while gasping for breath, reporting, to second young master, that person was wearing a large black cloak. I could not see his appearance clearly. However, his strength is only that of a medial-grade martial disciple. Tang San is currently following him, he will not lose him. Just a medial-grade martial disciple. A gleam flashed in Tang Feng's eyes as he continued, then did you see the auctioneer send those 3 items to his room? I saw it. Good. Tang Feng laughed coldly, a mere medial-grade martial disciple actually dares to disrupt my plans twice. I want to see if he has 3 heads and 6 arms. The 4 of you can go. Medial-grade martial disciple, don't tell me you can't even settle this. I will go back and explain the situation to my father first. Second young master, rest assured. Not to mention a medial-grade martial disciple, even a superior-grade martial disciple would not be able to escape from me, Tang Feng's martial master follower said. At the same time, in the backyard of Linlang Pavilion, Nangong Yen was sending people to clean up the collapsed secret room. Hopefully, he would be able to find some pills that were not damaged. After all, this was the result of 10 years of hard work. It was truly heartbreaking to see them disappear just like that. Just at this moment, the manager of Linlang Pavilion's auction walked over. His expression was extremely ugly as he stood behind Nangong Yen. He wanted to say something, but he did not know what to say. When Nangong Yen saw the situation, he frowned and said unhappily, Old Li, if you have something to say, just say it. When Old Li heard this, his forehead beaded with sweat. He carefully said, Pavilion Master, I've done what you asked me to do. The alchemist has already auctioned off 3 items. When Nangong Yen heard this, he smiled and said, I was wondering what the matter is. Why are you so anxious over such a small matter? By the way, what did he have his eyes on? When Old Li saw that the pavilion master was not in a bad mood, he relaxed a little. He said, a rainbow flame python inner core, an inferior grade spirit stone, and a piece of superior grade frost iron. Nangong Yen laughed heartily, your eyesight is quite accurate, huh? These are all good things. Even in Luojia continent, these are rare treasures. Old Li hesitated for a long time before he finally made up his mind. He slowly said, however, the pavilion master's final bid was quite high. Nangong Yen said unhappily, what's wrong? Are you worried that I can't afford it? It will not be easy for you to explain to the higher-ups what price he bid. 10 million, gold taels. 10 million. Nangong Yen only spoke halfway before his expression changed. He said, how much did you say? Say it again. 3 items, each of them was sold for 10 million gold taels. That is a total of 30 million gold taels. Old Li had already anticipated that something was wrong, but he still said it. Fuck you. When Nangong Yen heard this, he disregarded his status and cursed. The surrounding attendants and Old Li were all startled. Others might not know Nangong Yan's identity, but it was impossible for them not to know. He was the younger brother of the Nangong clan's clan head, Nangong Lai. Furthermore, he was the Great Qin nation's top alchemist. Even the emperor of the Great Qin nation had to curry favor with him. Now that Nangong Yen disregarded his status and cursed, it was easy to imagine how angry he was. This caused them to be extremely terrified. If Nangong Yen really blamed them, they would not be able to keep their heads. Old Li knelt on the ground and said fearfully, Pavilion Master, should we send people to capture him? He should not have gone far. When Nangong Yen heard this, he was extremely angry. He was not even a match for that person. If these people went, how could they survive? He scolded, reckless fool, did I say that I was going to pursue this matter? Old Li did not know what he said wrong. He said, Pavilion Master, weren't you so angry earlier? Could it be that you are going to let that person off? Nangong Yen calmed himself down. The mental state of a rank 7 alchemist was not that weak. He said indifferently, don't bother yourself with this matter. Remember, do not seek trouble with that person. In the future, if that person comes again, you must treat him with respect. Do not neglect him. I will settle the matter of the 30 million gold taels myself. Looks like I will have to leave late, Nangong Yen smiled bitterly to himself. He could only refine a few more rank 7 medicinal pills to settle this matter. However, he still felt indignant in his heart. 30 million gold taels, how much of a beast would he be to ask for it? Outside Linlang Pavilion, Xiaochen wore a black cloak and walked slowly. With his spiritual sense, Xiaochen could see the 4 people following behind him very clearly. 1 inferior-grade martial master and 3 superior-grade martial disciples were a little difficult to deal with. I have to deal with that martial master in the shortest time possible, Xiaochen thought to himself. Unknowingly, Xiaochen had already arrived at a desolate alley. The alley was very narrow, only 2 people could pass through it side by side. This place was already quite a distance away from the bustling streets. There was not a single person in sight. They should be making a move here, Xiaochen thought to himself. Indeed, it was as Xiaochen expected. When he raised his head, there was a cultivator dressed in blue. When Xiaochen turned around, he saw 3 cultivators blocking his way. An inferior-grade martial master blocked the way in front and 3 superior-grade martial disciples behind. With a pincer attack, Xiaochen looked like he had no way to escape. Everyone, why have you followed me all the way from Linlang Pavilion? As Xiaochen spoke, he circulated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation in his body. He only wanted to kill this person in one move. I can't be bothered to speak nonsense with you. If you know what's good for you, obediently hand over all the things you bought from the auction. Otherwise, you will die a horrible death. Under the cloak, Xiaochen revealed a faint smile. The qi and blood in his entire body surged. He was already at his peak, waiting for his opponent to reveal an opening. Xiaochen pretended to think. He turned around and said to the inferior-grade martial master, "Do you want the inferior-grade spirit stone? I can give it to you." After Xiaochen spoke, he waved his hand and the inferior-grade spirit stone flew out. Under the sunlight, the inferior-grade spirit stone gave off a bright glow. The inferior-grade martial master flew through the air and slowly descended towards the superior-grade martial master. Although the superior-grade martial master was suspicious, there was definitely a trap for Xiaochen to hand over the inferior-grade spirit stone so obediently. However, the superior-grade martial master did not care about it. He believed that as a medial-grade martial master, he would not be able to do much harm to him. Just as the spirit stone was about to land on the ground, the superior-grade martial master, who had been staring at Xiaochen, finally shifted his gaze to the spirit stone in the air. He leaped up gently and stretched out his right hand, wanting to catch the falling spirit stone. Hu Qi! Xiaochen smiled coldly in his heart. He shouted and stomped on the ground, leaving behind a 2-meter-deep footprint. His figure shot forward like an arrow. When the superior-grade martial master saw that Xiaochen had made a move, he quickly stopped trying to catch the spirit stone. His expression was filled with confidence as he sent out a palm strike, wanting to block Xiaochen's attack. However, he had lost the initiative and his mind was relaxed. How could he block the full-powered palm strike of Xiaochen when he was in his peak state? Everywhere the palm wind passed, wind and thunder howled and a purple light flickered. The superior-grade martial master only felt an electric light coming from his palm. A numb feeling spread throughout his body. His hands and feet actually turned stiff for a moment. Bang! Xiaochen did not show mercy after gaining the upper hand. He kicked the person in front of him into the air. Who? A purple flame spun rapidly on the tip of Xiaochen's finger. After an unknown number of times, it flew towards the person in the air. There was a crisp sound and a bloody hole the size of a finger appeared in the middle of the person's forehead. By the time he was in the air, the purple electric light that Xiaochen had attached to his body had already been eliminated. The instant the flame shot towards him, he immediately covered his entire body in flames. However, Xiaochen's purple thunder true fire was no longer the same as before. Its penetrative ability was no longer the same as before. It instantly pierced through his essence shield. The flame that was left in his mind started to burn slowly. The hole in his body that was being eaten by the flame was getting bigger and bigger. Under the sunlight, his body was like a pile of burning wood. After it was burned, it turned into ashes that slowly fell from the sky. When the wind blew, before it landed on the ground, it had already turned into ashes forever. Although the situation seemed to take a long time to describe, it actually happened in an instant. Xiao Qin made a move to paralyze the other party. Then, he kicked the other party into the air and shot out the purple thunder true fire. All of this happened in the time it took for 3 breaths. When the 3 people behind Xiao Qin saw their comrade turn into ashes, a boundless fear appeared in their eyes. In the blink of an eye, the strongest person on their side had been eliminated. This person was really only a medial-grade martial disciple. Their gazes landed on the cloaked Xiao Qin once again. This time, Xiao Qin was like a grim reaper that had just walked out of hell. Beat this fellow up. No matter how strong he is just a medial-grade martial disciple. Furthermore, he does not have a weapon. I don't believe he can kill the 3 of us, one of them said boldly. When the remaining 2 people heard this, they quickly drew their weapons. If they could not complete the mission given by the second young master, they would receive a heavy punishment. Although the person in front of them was terrifying, it was not as if they did not have a chance of victory. However, when they drew their weapons, they were shocked to discover that they could not use their weapons in such a narrow alley. They could not help but feel vexed. Under the cloak, Xiao Qin smiled mockingly. Did you think I casually walked into an alley? I foolishly followed you in. Today, none of you can escape. Chapter 53. 3 superior-grade martial cultivators who could not use their weapons could only walk side by side in this narrow alley. Xiao Qin only needed to deal with 2 of them. It was not a difficult task. Furthermore, with 2 people walking side by side, it was not as convenient as Xiao Qin. After he dealt with the 3 of them, Xiao Qin did not even exhaust half of his essence. He shot out a few flames and turned the people on the ground into ashes. Xiao Qin took off his black cloak and slowly left this desolate alley. Walking forward, there was actually a blacksmith shop at the end of the alley. This blacksmith shop was very shabby. The paint on the wooden signboard had already fallen off. It looked like a moldy wooden board. Xiao Qin remembered his purpose for coming out today and decided to go in and take a look. Since he had already come this far, there was no harm in taking a look. The area of this shop was very small. There was not even a complete shelf in the narrow shop. Many of the ironware were piled up in the corner, making the shop look even more cramped. Xiao Qin looked around. Among the pile of ironware, he actually discovered some farming tools. He could not help but find it funny. They actually started selling farming tools. How bad must their business be? I actually thought of coming here to forge spirit weapons. The most important thing was that Xiao Qin had been here for a period of time and there was not a single person in the shop. This was very strange. Xiao Qin did not have any intention to continue staying and was about to leave. Wait, don't leave first. Go and take a look at the weapons in the corner. Suddenly, Ao Jiao's voice appeared in his mind. Xiao Qin said unhappily, it is just a pile of scrap metal. I don't think there is anything nice to look at. If I tell you to look, then just look. Xiao Qin was helpless. He could only walk to the corner where the ironware was piled up and casually took out a sword. This was a refined iron sword that was 2 fingers wide and 1 meter long. Its design was not extravagant and looked very plain. Xiao Qin was not good with weapons. After looking at it for a long time, he could not see anything special about it. He stood up and held the sword in his hand, waving it a few times. Xiao Qin stabbed the sword at various angles in the air without making any sound. Xiao Qin also did not feel any strange power. Putting the sword back in the corner, Xiao Qin suddenly seemed to have thought of something. He held the sword in his hand again and swung it a few times. There was still no sound, and he did not feel any strange power. A trace of amazement flashed in Xiao Qin's eyes. He put down the long sword in his hand and chose an even thinner long sword from the corner. He waved it with all his might, but he still didn't hear any strange sounds or hear any sounds. How is it possible for this sword to not make a sound? Earlier, the sword was too heavy. However, this sword is as thin as a cicada's wings. Why is it still unable to make a sound? Asked a puzzled Xiao Chen. Ao Jiao suddenly popped out and said, "That's not how you use a sword." When Xiao Chen saw that Xiao Chen's complexion was much better, he put down his previous worries. He asked, "What's with the swords here?" Ao Jiao did not say anything. She took the sword from Xiao Chen's hand and casually took a stance. She stood there quietly. Xiao Chen could feel her aura rising continuously. It was as though she could pierce through the sky in the next moment. Pu Ci. Ao Jiao suddenly made her move. She brandished the sword in the air twice. The sword that was as thin as a cicada's wings gave off a joyful hum in the air. The sound was clear and melodious. It was like rain falling on the ground, dripping non-stop. Wang! There was a continuous hum. In the next moment, all the weapons in the entire shop started to hum. It was like a lover who had finally found the person they liked. The sound was extremely joyful. Xiao Chen looked at all this in disbelief. He took the sword from Ao Jiao's hand again. All the swords in the shop immediately stopped buzzing. No matter how hard Xiao Chen tried, there was no sound. It was as though it was dead. Yes, it was as though it was dead. This was a mouthful. The sword itself was a dead object. How could it be said that it was as though it was dead? However, at this moment, Xiao Chen thought of this phrase. Why is it that when this sword is in my hand, it is like a dead object? When it is in your hand, it immediately comes to life? Xiao Chen asked Ao Jiao. When talking about swords, Ao Jiao's face was filled with pride. It was a pity that her cute face looked more like a girl when she was proud. Although you don't understand swords, this analogy is very good. Listening to the sword and communicating with it. Those who understand will naturally understand. Those who don't understand will naturally not understand. These words were very confusing. Xiao Chen said, "Can you explain it in simpler terms?" Ao Jiao thought for a while and said, "In simpler terms, these weapons, under the skillful hands of the blacksmiths, possess simple spirituality after they are cast. Those who have a certain level of understanding towards weapons can unleash more than 2 times the power of a weapon. On the other hand, those who don't can't even unleash half of the power." Xiao Chen was delighted. It seemed like the owner of this shop was a senior expert. He said, "With so many spiritual swords placed here, isn't the senior afraid that they will be taken away?" Ao Jiao shook her head and said, "Although the swords have gained spirituality, they are only cast from ordinary iron. How strong can they be? If it is just a competition of strength, I'm afraid that any of the swords here can't even compare to the most basic spirit weapon." I didn't expect to meet someone who understands swords in this desolate little shop. My swords have not made a sound for 10 years. Suddenly, a heroic laughter came from the back of the shop. A tall and sturdy man with a square face slowly walked out from the back door. At first glance, this person gave off an incomparably heroic feeling. However, there seemed to be something wrong with his left leg, as he walked with a limp. That person first looked at Xiao Chen, then turned his gaze to Ao Jiao. His eyes shot out a ray of amazement and said, "What a spiritual sword spirit, no wonder you understand swords so well." Then, he turned his gaze back to Xiao Chen and said, "Pardon me for asking, but what kind of divine weapon does little friend have? Can you take it out and take a look?" As expected of a senior expert, he could see through Ao Jiao's background with one look. Xiao Chen cupped his hands and bowed, saying, "Senior has good eyesight. However, this one's spirit weapon has already been destroyed, I really can't take it out." That person's eyes revealed a doubtful look and said, "The divine weapon has already been destroyed? How is that possible? If that's the case, then the sword spirit, with a broken leg, are you still able to forge a spirit weapon?" Ao Jiao suddenly interrupting that person's words. Xiao Chen looked at Ao Jiao in astonishment. She interrupted that person's words, she was definitely trying to hide something. However, this was not the time to talk about this. Xiao Chen said apologetically to that person, "Senior, I'm sorry. My sword spirit cannot speak, I apologize." That person smiled and said, "It's fine, my name is Mo Fan. Don't keep calling me senior. If you don't mind, you can call me Big Brother Mo." Xiao Chen nodded and said, "I am Xiao Chen." "Big Brother Mo, are you still able to forge a spirit weapon?" Mo Fan's eyes were filled with shock. "Xiao Chen, you are Mo City's Xiao clan's second young master, Xiao Chen." Xiao Chen nodded his head, but his heart was in turmoil. Could it be that this person knows me? However, I don't seem to have any impression of him in my memories. Could it be that before I transmigrated, Xiao Chen had done something to offend this person? If that was the case, it would be difficult to deal with him. It was not easy to find a good blacksmith in Mo City. If it was because of this matter, it would be a pity. Mo Fan said, "Brother Xiao Chen, did you save a little girl on the streets a month ago?" "That was my daughter. I did not expect to meet you today. So it was because of this matter." Xiao Chen relaxed. He did not expect that a small matter back then would turn into a favor. Xiao Chen smiled. "That day, I left in a hurry. Was the little girl all right after that? Did she get any fright?" Mo Fan laughed loudly. "That little girl was very wild. I was not paying attention and she slipped away. When I returned, I heard what happened from the people beside me. I am indebted to you for making a move. The little girl did not get any fright. Everything is fine. I thank you for that." The two of them continued on this topic and chatted for a while. Suddenly, Xiao Chen asked the question he had earlier, "Big Brother Mo, why was there no one guarding the shop when we arrived?" Mo Fan smiled awkwardly. "Humans have 3 urgent needs. There were no other workers in the shop, so there was no one guarding it." Xiao Chen sweated in his heart. He did not expect such a reason. He quickly changed the topic. "Big Brother Mo, are you still able to forge spirit weapons?" When Mo Fan heard this, the expression in his eyes slowly turned serious. He said, "Brother Xiao Chen, I would like to speak with your sword spirit alone. Could you please step aside for now? I have the same intention." "You don't have to care about this trash's opinion," Jiao said. Xiao Chen was not satisfied in his heart. He had just killed 4 cultivators with a higher cultivation than him. Why was Jiao still looking down on him? Although there was a little bit of trickery involved, he had personally killed them all. There was no exaggeration at all. Jiao said, "I can tell you are not satisfied just by looking at you. If you can make any of the weapons here make a sound, I will not say anything." Xiao Chen said helplessly, "Big Brother Mo, I will go out for a while." Outside the door, Xiao Chen smiled in his heart. "Although I am gone, my spiritual sense can still enter. Whatever you say will not escape my ears. Sister Tsundere, you want to hide from me? You are too naive." When Jiao saw Xiao Chen go out, she waved her hand and a faint yellow barrier surrounded the entire shop. Xiao Chen's spiritual sense was blocked outside. "You left so obediently. You definitely have a backup plan. Do you think I don't know what you are thinking? You are too naive." After Jiao finished setting up the barrier, she said, "Let's make this short. Which generation of the Supreme Sky Sect's successor are you? Have you awakened your Haotian hammer yet? How much of an impact does this injured leg have on you?" Mo Fan's jaw dropped. He said in disbelief, "Who exactly are you? How do you know so much about me? Why do I feel a familiar aura from you?" Chapter 54. It is not strange. My body was forged by the 3rd-generation sect master of the Supreme Sky Sect, Jiao said indifferently. Mo Fan was startled again. "Subdivine weapon, Thunderwood sword. Didn't you fall together with the Thunder King, Sangmu, 1,000 years ago?" Jiao frowned slightly and said, "You do not have to care about my matters. You have not answered my question yet." Mo Fan looked at his crippled leg and said, "The Supreme Sky Sect was destroyed long ago. I am the last inheritor of the Supreme Sky Sect. This crippled leg was injured by an enemy, causing the circulation of essence to be blocked. Now, I can only forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon at best. It is impossible for me to forge a divine weapon. Ao Jiao nodded and said, heaven-ranked spirit weapon? That is far more than enough. Xiao Chen, who was outside the door, suddenly realized that the barrier blocking his spiritual sense had disappeared. He quickly walked in and glared at Ao Jiao. Ao Jiao directly ignored him. Mo Fan saw that Xiao Chen had already entered and said, Brother Xiao Chen, what kind of spirit weapon do you want to forge? Have you prepared all the materials? Hearing this, Xiao Chen quickly took out the moonstone and the peak-grade profound iron from his universe ring. He said, these are all the materials I brought. I want to forge a saber. Mo Fan looked at the pile of moonstone on the ground that was 2 feet high. His eyes were wide open, he had an expression of disbelief. Finally, he shifted his gaze to the peak-grade frost iron. Heavens! Where did you get so many moonstones? And this top-grade frost iron as well. This is simply unbelievable. Xiao Chen smiled in satisfaction. He found a piece of paper and drew the lunar shadow saber's design. After that, he handed it to Mo Fan and said, the design is like this. I wonder if I brought enough materials. Mo Fan received the paper and took a look. He felt somewhat helpless in his heart. This Xiao Chen did not draw a proper weapon blueprint. He only drew the original form of the lunar shadow saber. Young Master Xiao, this blueprint of yours is too crude. Furthermore, forgive me for speaking bluntly. The design of this saber is not very good. There are many areas that need to be improved. Should I change it? Xiao Chen was a little hesitant. The style of this lunar shadow saber was what he liked the most. The lunar shadow saber was similar to the katanas in the anime, unlike the Zanmadeo which had a bulky design. It was a streamlined design, which was rare among swords. As a former otaku, he had a special interest in this area, so he really did not want to change it too much. When Mo Fan saw that Xiao Chen was somewhat hesitant, he said, how about this? I'll draw another sketch. Mo Fan saw that Xiao Chen hesitating and said, Xiao Chen spirit Xiao Chen Fan. The more Xiao Chen watched from the side, the redder he blushed. This Mo Fan sketch was much more formal than his. After half an hour, Mo Fan finished drawing and handed it to Xiao Chen. Not only was the length, width, and thickness of the drawing clearly indicated, there were also simple notes on the materials used. Afraid that Xiao Chen would not understand, Mo Fan explained, young Master Xiao, the lunar shadow saber that you used earlier, according to the drawing, was only 1.2 meters long. I increased it to 1.6 meters. The longer the saber, the greater the advantage it would have in battle. However, many blacksmiths would not increase the length of the saber when facing this type of saber. This was because the longer the saber, the more difficult it would be to control the flow of the saber. Thus, it would destroy the overall image and flow of the saber. Thus, most blacksmiths would avoid making the saber longer than 1.2 meters. Mo Fan continued, there is no need to make too many changes to the width. For this type of saber, the standard width is 2 fingers wide. However, this saber is 1.6 meters long. Thus, I suggest increasing the width by half a finger. That way, it will not look too thin due to the length of the saber and affect its aesthetics. Mo Fan explained the changes that he made. Furthermore, the improved saber was even more tyrannical than the original lunar shadow saber. It was not inferior to the Grim Reaper's beheading moon. The more Xiao Chen looked at it, the more satisfied he felt. He smiled, Big Brother Mo, I will do as you say. That's right, what materials do I lack? I still have time, I will send them over in a few days. Mo Fan said, that depends on what grade of spirit weapon you want to forge and if there are any special requirements. Xiao Chen did not expect there to be such a way, so he asked Mo Fan for help. Mo Fan explained. Spirit weapons were divided into 4 grades, heaven, earth, profound, and yellow. Each grade could be further divided into 3 smaller grades: superior grade, medial grade, and inferior grade. Above heaven ranked were subdivine weapons and divine weapons. There were a total of 10 divine weapons in the Tianwu continent. Every time a new divine weapon was born, an old divine weapon would fall. After explaining the basics to Xiao Chen, Mo Fan continued, no matter what grade of spirit weapon it is, it can be embedded with a demonic core of the corresponding attribute according to the requirements of the cultivator. The demonic core was the inner core of a demonic beast. The demonic qi of a spirit beast was contaminated by demonic qi. Compared to a spirit beast, there was a huge change. The biggest change was in the spirit beast's inner core. The spirit beast's inner core was originally a gentle item that nourished essence. After becoming a demonic beast, the inner core would become a demonic core. It was filled with a violent energy and had a strange connection with the world. When it was embedded in a spirit weapon, it could give the spirit weapon a strong energy, possessing the attribute of the demonic core. When Xiao Chen heard this, he said, according to what you said, I am currently lacking a lightning-attributed demonic core. That's not right. Mo Fan nodded his head and said, however, Ao Jiao already told me earlier. Actually, I happen to have a rank 6 demonic core of the Thunder Rock. I can give it to you first. Treat it as me repaying you for your kindness. When Xiao Chen heard this, he was incomparably happy. However, when he thought about it carefully, he felt that something was strange. This Mo Fan had said so much earlier. It seemed like his goal was to give this demonic core to him. Xiao Chen looked at Ao Jiao and discovered that she was looking at him innocently. Her gaze was abnormally pure. Xiao Chen felt a headache and decided not to think about it. Xiao Chen said, since you are not lacking anything, when can you complete it? Mo Fan thought for a while and said, young Master Xiao, if you want to be fast, you can complete it today. However, you have to help me. If you are not in a rush, I will be able to send it over in 3 days. Since he could be fast, it was naturally better to be fast. Such a good spirit weapon was something that he wanted to obtain immediately. If he had to wait for 3 days, wouldn't that just leave him in suspense? Xiao Chen seemed to have thought of something and said, that's right, after talking for so long, I don't think I have mentioned what grade of spirit weapon I want to forge. Mo Fan tidied up the moonstones and peak grade frost iron on the ground and said casually, with so many moonstones, of course it will be a superior grade heaven ranked one. Superior grade heaven ranked. Xiao Chen was startled in his heart. It had been a few hundred years since a heaven ranked spirit weapon had appeared in the continent. One of the reasons was the lack of moonstones, but another reason was the lack of skills of the blacksmiths. In these few hundred years, there should have been people who had accumulated enough moonstones to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. However, the reason why no heaven-ranked spirit weapon had appeared was definitely due to the lack of skilled blacksmiths. From what Xiao Chen knew, the only people in the Tianwu continent who could forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon were the disciples of the Haotian sect. These disciples of the Haotian sect had a mysterious bloodline flowing in their bodies. Their martial spirit was born as a Haotian hammer. Every disciple of the Haotian sect was a natural-born divine blacksmith. In reality, the few divine blacksmiths in the continent were all the inheritors of the Haotian hammer. This was an advantage that came from their bloodline. Outsiders could not have it and could only be envied. However, it was this talent that brought them a calamity. According to the legends, 600 years ago, a holy land that had existed since the Tianwu dynasty wanted them to forge a new divine weapon for them. Since ancient times, the Haotian sect's ancestors had taught them that the Haotian sect could never forge a divine weapon while they were still alive. At most, they could only forge a subdivine weapon. Because of this strange ancestral teaching, the Haotian sect rejected the Holy Land's request. After that, the Haotian sect no longer existed in this world. In the past few hundred years, no new heaven-ranked spirit weapon had appeared in the Tianwu continent. At this moment, Xiao Chen had casually said a few words, and Mo Fan wanted to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Could it be that he thought that his forging skills were comparable to those of the Haotian sect? Xiao Chen suppressed the doubts in his heart and followed Mo Fan out of the back door of the shop. Behind the shop was a courtyard. Mo Fan brought Xiao Chen and continued to walk forward. After passing through a few small houses, Mo Fan stopped in front of a stone house. He took out the key to the stone house from his bosom. With a clang sound, the stone door was gently pushed open by Mo Fan. The room was pitch black. Because the house was built in a dark place, the sunlight from the outside could not shine in. Mo Fan lit up an oil lamp and opened up a secret passage. He said apologetically, "Inside the forging room. Because the temperature is too high, I built it underground. We still have to walk for a while." Xiao Chen nodded to express his understanding. He followed Mo Fan's footsteps and walked down the steps of the stone house. Half an hour later, a huge stone room appeared in front of Xiao Chen. In the stone room, there were all sorts of forging tools. In the middle of the room, there was a huge furnace that attracted everyone's attention. Beside the furnace was a huge vat. When Xiao Chen walked in to take a look, he discovered that the vat was filled with a kind of black water. It looked like ink, but it was not ink at all. It was pitch black, but if one looked carefully, its brightness was not dazzling. Instead, it was very reserved. This was a contradictory existence. Xiao Chen had never seen such a strange water before. He could not help but ask, "What is in this vat?" Mo Fan was currently cleaning up the basement that he had not used for a long time. He did not have the time to answer Xiao Chen's question. Ao Jiao said, "This is the water of the Yellow Springs. It is the most suitable water for quenching in the world." Yellow Springs? Xiao Chen shivered and quickly took a few steps back from the water vat. The main reason was that the legends of the Yellow Springs on Earth were too deeply rooted in his heart. He could not help but take a few steps back. Ao Jiao looked at Xiao Chen strangely. She asked, "What's wrong with you? Did you get frightened by the Yellow Springs?" Although he had indeed been frightened by the Yellow Springs, this was not the time to admit it. Xiao Chen said calmly, "How could that be possible?" "That's right, big brother Mo, is there anything you need my help with?" Chapter 55. By the time Xiao Chen and Mo Fan cleaned up the secret room that they had not used for a long time, it was already half an hour later. After Mo Fan checked the furnace again, he said solemnly, "I am going to start the fire. Listen to my command and pull the bellows." Xiao Chen nodded and slowly walked to the front of the bellows. He grasped the handle made of wood and iron with both hands. A cool feeling came from the wooden handle. "Begin." The flame in the furnace suddenly rose up. In a split second, the entire underground room was filled with heat waves. However, what was strange was that this secret room seemed to have undergone an ingenious design. This secret chamber seemed to have undergone an ingenious design. After the heat waves circled in the air, they slowly dissipated and were evenly distributed throughout the secret chamber. Furthermore, there was a cool breeze coming from the ventilation holes. Although the underground room was still extremely hot, it was not unbearable. Xiao Chen discarded the distracting thoughts in his heart and grabbed the wooden handle and pulled back. Chi! Chi! Something strange happened. Xiao Chen was astonished to discover that he had only pulled back a few centimeters before he could no longer pull it back. He was astonished, "What is going on? No matter how weak I am, I still have the strength of a medial-grade martial disciple. Could it be that I can't even pull this small bellows?" The flame in the furnace slowly died down. Mo Fan quickly looked in Xiao Chen's direction and could not help but feel anxious. "Young Master Xiao, why are you not doing anything? The flame in the furnace is about to be extinguished. This furnace of mine is not an ordinary furnace. Every time I light it, it consumes a large amount of spirit stones. I cannot waste them." Xiao Chen was very anxious. However, no matter how much strength he used, the bellows would not budge. Sweat continuously dripped from his forehead. What is going on? What exactly is going on? Mo Fan seemed to have understood something. He quickly came over to tell Xiao Chen some of the tricks behind this. Ao Jiao suddenly stopped him. "Now is not the time for you to be distracted. Watch the furnace carefully and prepare to place the moonstone in. I will teach him. Bo! Xiao Chen suddenly felt something soft on the back of his head. It felt very comfortable. In the scorching hot basement, there was actually a cool feeling that calmed one's mind. Idiot, this bellows can't be moved by brute force. You have to follow the flow of air and exert your strength, otherwise, no matter how much strength you have, you won't be able to move it, and if you exert too much strength, you will destroy the bellows. Xiao Chen smelled a fragrant breeze. Ao Jiao, who was floating in the air, was leaning closely behind him. A pair of proud and firm breasts pressed against the back of his head, and two slender arms slowly rested on his hands. He controlled the wooden handle and slowly pulled the bellows with his arm. With a boom, a huge flame rose from the furnace, and the temperature of the entire basement suddenly doubled. However, Xiao Chen's heart felt incomparably cool. At this moment, Ao Jiao's voice was much gentler than usual, like the coolest summer wind in the world, slowly moving the young man's impetuous heart. Slowly forgetting the softness on the back of his head, under Ao Jiao's guidance, Xiao Chen pulled the wooden handle of the bellows unhurriedly. Unknowingly, Ao Jiao had already slowly moved away from behind Xiao Chen. She looked at Mo Fan, who was in front of the furnace, in a daze. Mo Fan took out a piece of moonstone from behind him and muttered, "What a waste." When a normal person refines a spirit weapon, they only need a bit of moonstone powder. Yet, he actually threw it piece by piece into the furnace. If it wasn't for the lack of other rare materials, with so many moonstones, it would be more than enough to forge a subdivine weapon. Ao Jiao stared at the moonstones that were continuously falling into the furnace, and the scene in front of her started to become blurry. 1,000 years ago, it was the same scene. A talented youth brought a huge amount of moonstones and went to the Haotian sect alone. Because of his strong charisma, the current sect leader of the Haotian sect personally went down the mountain to receive him, and personally forged the subdivine weapon, the Thunderwood Sword, for him. When the five-colored light soared into the sky, a strong spiritual energy enveloped the entire Haotian sect. Within a circumference of 100 miles, the overflowing sword intent could be felt. Everyone knew that the sixth subdivine weapon in the past 1,000 years had been born. She was born from the seven-colored red light. She was as pure and holy as a fairy from the heavens. Her flawless face seemed to have a trace of immaturity and blankness. The newborn just stood there quietly. Her somewhat immature face made her look like a child. However, all of this could not hide her pride. She just looked at the world without saying a word. Within a circumference of 1,000 miles, the 108,000 spirit weapons trembled because of her appearance. It was because she was the king of swords, the king of these 108,000 spirit weapons. Although she was just born, she could not hide her pride. Since I was born, I am the king. All the ordinary weapons have to kneel and pay their respects to me, because I am the king of swords. I am the subdivine weapon, the Thunder King Mulberry Sword. No one can stop me. She carried the mulberry sword and flew up into the sky, leaving behind a large expanse of light. The divine weapon is flying. She is going to choose her master. Astonished voices came from all directions, but most of them were incomparably happy. No one would have thought that this newborn Thunderwood Sword would actually be so proud, wanting to choose its own master. However, this also gave them a chance. If they could subdue it, then they would become the master of this subdivine weapon. Subdivine weapon, the dream of all the martial artists in the world. However, that peerless person did not give them any chance. He only gave them 3 seconds to think. They only saw him fly up into the sky, like a rock spreading its wings. He was faster than lightning and instantly grasped the Thunderwood Sword in his hand. Sang Mu, who had landed, laughed loudly. His eyes were filled with unconcealable surprise. He said, "What a proud sword. From today onwards, you will be called Ao Jiao. I, Sang Mu, will definitely be someone who will make you feel proud." The temperature in the basement was getting higher and higher. No matter how exquisite the design was, when the furnace was completely ignited, the temperature neared 1,000 degrees Celsius. No matter what, it would not be able to completely dissipate the heat. Xiao Chen's clothes were already completely drenched. On the other hand, Mo Fan had already taken off the clothes on his upper body, revealing his firm muscles. Xiao Chen wiped the sweat off his forehead. He only felt that his entire body was incomparably hot. The entire basement was like an oven. He felt that if he continued to stay here, he would be roasted alive. However, it was already the crucial moment. Mo Fan was currently using the secret technique of a forging master to stir the boiling molten iron in the furnace. There were only a few pieces of moonstones left in the pile beside him. He absolutely could not stop at this moment. Once he stopped, all his previous efforts would be wasted. The heaven-ranked spirit weapon in his hands would be completely useless. However, it was really too hot. Xiao Chen felt as though he was about to faint. He weakly pushed the bellows, as though he would collapse at any moment. Just at this moment, a cool breeze blew from behind Xiao Chen. This cool breeze blew into Xiao Chen's heart, dispersing the heat in his body. It dispelled the heat in his body. His heart felt refreshed, and his body felt extremely comfortable. Although he could not turn his head, Xiao Chen could guess that this cool breeze came from Ao Jiao. A warm feeling welled up in Xiao Chen's heart. This lass, who would have thought that even though her mouth was so venomous, she still had a little bit of conscience. That's right, other than conscience, this lass was really big. Thinking back to the scene from before, Xiao Chen's body actually had a reaction. Damn it, what was I thinking about? Xiao Chen smacked his head fiercely. His state of mind finally calmed down, and he continued to push the bellows with all his might. Time passed second by second, minute by minute. Every time Xiao Chen was about to collapse, a cool breeze would blow from behind him, sweeping away all the fatigue in his body, filling him with energy once again. A large pile of moonstones was finally placed into the furnace. The surface of the boiling furnace was filled with molten moonstones. The entire surface of the furnace was filled with molten moonstones. Droplets of molten iron jumped up from the surface of the furnace. Mo Fan carefully observed the molten iron in the furnace. The surging heat waves did not seem to be able to cause him any trouble. The entire furnace was emitting the unique yellow glow of the moonstones. Mo Fan's expression was grave as he took out the peak-grade frost iron. A chi whirlpool appeared on his left hand, and the molten iron in the furnace started to spin rapidly. An even more horrifying heat wave spread out in all directions. Plop! When the molten iron was about to form an extreme whirlpool, Mo Fan quickly placed the peak-grade frost iron into the eye of the whirlpool, causing a small splash of molten iron to splash out. The peak-grade frost iron started to melt slowly. The yellow glow and the black glow of the frost iron slowly intertwined and fused. In the end, when the frost iron had completely melted, the yellow glow had completely disappeared, and the molten iron had turned into a pure black glow. Mo Fan saw that the time had come, and he shouted loudly. He placed his left palm on top of the furnace, and a huge suction force was emitted from his palm. The molten iron in the furnace started to churn unceasingly, gathering in the air. The sweat on Mo Fan's forehead dripped down continuously like rain. However, at this moment, he did not care about it at all. He looked at the molten iron gathering in his palm with a nervous expression. Finally, the molten iron in the furnace was completely sucked into the air, forming a metal ball the size of a soccer ball. It emitted a terrifying heat wave as it continuously spun. Pooh! At this moment, a resplendent light suddenly lit up in Ao Jiao's hand. In the next moment, a light shot out from her hand and flew into the metal ball. Mo Fan said in shock, "This is the Battle Sage Origin." The Battle Sage Origin was the strongest offensive origin chi in the world. A spirit weapon that possessed it could produce the strongest Battle Sage attack in the world. According to the legends, the Battle Saint Origin was split into 6 parts. Each part represented a different interpretation of the attacking technique. The 6 parts of the Battle Sage Origin were respectively embedded in 6 different subdivine weapons. It was said that if these 6 divine weapons were put together, the Battle Sage Origin would be able to form a new divine weapon. However, since ancient times, in the tens of thousands of years of history of the Tianwu continent, there had only been 10 divine weapons. As for the authenticity of this legend, no one knew if it was true or false. This was because no one had ever been able to put these 6 subdivine weapons together. Chapter 56. Mo Fan withdrew his thoughts and took out his left hand. The metal ball in the air gave off a resplendent glow as he squinted his eyes. Mo Fan took out a pair of golden silk gloves and slowly wore them on his left hand. It was unknown what material the golden silk gloves were made of. When Mo Fan wore them, he was able to hold the metal ball that was giving off a horrifying heat wave. Chi! Chi! The metal ball gave off intense friction when it touched the golden silk gloves. Green smoke came from it. It was clear how horrifying the heat of the metal ball was. However, the golden silk gloves did not melt. Mo Fan frowned as he held the metal ball. He quickly went to the metal platform at the side and placed the metal ball firmly on it. Boom! Suddenly, a golden hammer appeared in his right hand. There was a flash of light and the golden hammer struck the metal ball ferociously. One had to strike while the iron was hot. It was a very simple principle. Mo Fan held the golden hammer and continuously struck the metal ball. A visible light wrapped around the golden hammer. Every time it struck, there would be a resplendent golden light in the basement. The piercing golden light made it hard for people to open their eyes. Slowly, Mo Fan's entire body was covered in a layer of golden light. Haotian hammer. It really is the Haotian hammer. At this moment, Xiaochen had nothing else to do. He leaned against the wall and looked at the golden hammer in Mo Fan's hand in disbelief. The Haotian hammer was the legendary golden hammer that could turn something rotten into something magical. It was a weapon that blacksmiths yearned for even in their dreams. Unfortunately, this was a power that came from the bloodline. It could only be obtained after awakening the Haotian martial spirit. It was impossible for outsiders to obtain it. This was completely out of Xiao Chen's expectations. He did not expect that there was a successor of the Haotian sect in this world. No wonder he could easily say that he wanted to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. For a person who had awakened the Haotian hammer, as long as they had sufficient materials, it would be extremely easy to forge a heaven-ranked spirit weapon. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen's heart surged. After working so hard for so long, if he could obtain a true heaven-ranked spirit weapon, it would definitely be worth it. Because Ao Jiao had injected the battle sage origin into the metal ball, it was several times harder than a regular metal ball. Only after being hammered a few thousand times did it start to slowly change shape. His left hand, which was wearing a gold-threaded glove, kept changing the position of the iron block. While his right hand was hammering the iron block, his left hand still had to control it precisely. It was difficult for an ordinary person to do 2 things at the same time. Usually, at this time, 2 people would cooperate. However, Mo Fan was able to do it by himself. This could only mean that the successor of the Haotian hammer had talent in this aspect. No one else could catch up to him. When the golden light flickered a few thousand times, the resplendent piece of metal finally had the rough shape of a saber. Mo Fan flicked his finger and shot the 6th-level lightning attribute demonic core into it. Bang! With a loud bang, the Haotian hammer ruthlessly struck the spot where the demon nucleus had just been embedded. An incomparably bright light lit up, and the whole basement was filled with golden light. Xiao Chen could no longer open his eyes. Then, the golden light disappeared, and a crackling electric light jumped up from the saber embryo. What a strong lightning attribute demonic core! Xiao Chen was secretly shocked. After shooting out the battle sage origin, a faint illusion appeared on Ao Jiao's body. She appeared to be extremely weak. Her gaze was fixed on the heavenly weapon that was about to take shape. The scene in front of her became blurry again. Under the scorching sun, in the desolate desert, a black-clothed man who was riddled with scars held a broken sword in his hand. He slowly walked on the yellow sand, leaving behind deep footprints. "Wooden Master, am I going to die soon?" Suddenly, a girl's voice came from the broken sword. The black-clothed man's body was filled with terrifying sword wounds. With every step he took, fresh blood would drip from his body onto the yellow sand. Under the terrifyingly high temperature, his fresh blood did not split open. The continuous footprints left behind a path of blood in this desolate desert. The scorching sun hanging high in the sky made his figure look extremely sorrowful. When he heard the voice coming from the sword, a determined expression appeared on his face. A smile appeared on his pale face as he said, "You will not die. There is still 1 more kilometer before we reach the Phoenix's Passion Palace. Their palace master owes me a favor. I will borrow their divine stones to seal you up." A faint sound came from the broken sword. The girl inside seemed to be crying. Her voice was filled with incomparable sorrow. The black-clothed man suddenly stopped. His pale face revealed a pained expression as he said slowly, "Are you crying? I am really useless. To think that I made you cry." Above the 9 heavens, in the Phoenix's Passion Palace, Sang-mu, "My father is in closed-door training. It is not convenient for him to see you. You should leave. Do you not want to see me, or do you not dare to see me?" The black-clothed man said indifferently. "I gave you face, but you rejected it. You are a person who is about to die, and you actually came here to ask for divine stones. What a joke. Quickly scram. If you still don't leave, don't blame me for being ruthless. To think that the Phoenix's Passion Palace, which has been passed down for over 10,000 years, cannot even keep its promise. How unexpected. However, I will be taking this spiritual sense today. You are seeking death. You actually dared to kill me." Before the young palace master of the Phoenix's Passion Palace finished speaking, a bloody hole suddenly appeared between her eyebrows. She looked at Sang-mu with her eyes wide open. The young palace master had not expected that a person who was about to die would actually dare to attack her. Sang-mu looked calmly at the fallen young palace master of the Phoenix's Passion Palace. He said indifferently, "Since you do not wish to give it to me, I will take it myself." In Seven-Horn Mountain, when Sang-mu returned to his cave after snatching back the divine stones, he was already on his last breath. He had a resolute expression as he looked at the broken sword in his hand. A bright light flashed as the broken sword stabbed into the divine stones. "I hope that after 1,000 years, you will find a master who will not make you cry." Just as he finished speaking, the vermilion bird sacred seal that the Phoenix's Passion Palace master planted in his body exploded. There was a flash of intense flames, and a fiery red vermilion bird flew out of his body. The Thunder King, Sang-mu, turned into dust. Pu-chi! Mo Fan clapped his hands, and the netherworld yellow spring water in the large vat stirred up a wave, landing on the completed spirit weapon. After quenching the fire, the final step of the heavenly weapon was completed. When the netherworld yellow spring water scattered, a completely black saber suddenly appeared on the stone platform. Countless arcs of electricity were released from the saber. Everyone in the underground room could feel the horrifying might contained in the arcs of electricity. Xiao Chen even felt a slight tremble in his body. At the same time, dark clouds covered the sky above the smithy. Thunder rumbled unceasingly, and bolts of lightning crackled in the sky. This was the mysterious phenomenon of the birth of a heavenly weapon. Feeling the mysterious phenomenon, Mo Fan quickly said, "Young Master Xiao, quickly come over and claim ownership. Otherwise, this spirit weapon will become ownerless." Xiao Chen recovered his wits and quickly walked over. The spirit weapon on the metal platform had perfectly met Xiao Chen's requirements. The streamlined body of the saber seemed to be comparable to the heavenly locking moon beheading saber of the Grim Reaper. Looking at this newly born heaven-ranked spirit weapon, Xiao Chen suppressed the excitement in his heart and grasped it in his hand. In an instant, the arcs of electricity disappeared, and the black saber was filled with a reserved brilliance. The instant Xiao Chen grasped the saber hilt, the mysterious phenomenon outside the room immediately disappeared. The thick dark clouds scattered, and sunlight shone on the ground once again. What a good saber! I will call you Lunar Shadow. In the future, you will be my Lunar Shadow saber. I will not let you break again, Xiao Chen praised. Just at this moment, Xiao Chen suddenly discovered that the surrounding space started to distort. After a while, he discovered that he was on a desolate platform at the top of a mountain. Feeling like there was a pair of eyes staring at him from behind, Xiao Chen quickly turned his head around. He saw a pale, black-clothed man looking at him. Xiao Chen was startled. He had not felt anything when this man appeared behind him. Furthermore, he was just standing there quietly, giving Xiao Chen an unparalleled pressure. Xiao Chen quickly sent out his spiritual sense. However, he was shocked to discover that his spiritual sense could not be extended out of this space. However, he quickly calmed down. This was because he did not feel any killing intent from the man in front of him. "Who are you? Where is this place?" Xiao Chen asked that person suspiciously. That man looked at the lunar shadow saber in Xiao Chen's hand and slowly said, "Lunar shadow, good name." In the next moment, the saber in Xiao Chen's hand suddenly appeared in that person's hand. Xiao Chen was startled. Just as he was about to make a move, he discovered that his body seemed to be locked down. He could not move at all. He could not even close his slightly opened mouth. That person held the lunar shadow saber and made a strange posture. After that, he did not make any other moves. At the top of the mountain, the cold wind did not stop. It caused his hair to flutter, completely exposing his pale white face. Even though Xiao Chen was a man, he could not help but say in his heart that this was a man of unmatched talent. If he was on Earth, he would definitely be able to make those so-called male idols feel inferior. Slowly, Xiao Chen understood what the posture of the person in front of him meant. This was one of the stances of the Battle Sage Origins. It was an attacking technique with thousands of variations. This person seemed to want to hand over the Battle Sage technique to him, to let him comprehend something. The strength of the person in front of him was definitely extraordinary. He could not miss out on this opportunity. Xiao Chen quickly calmed himself down and observed carefully. When he completely immersed himself in it, Xiao Chen found it strange that the person in front of him seemed to have moved. However, he was clearly standing at his original position and did not move at all. It seemed like an incomparably profound saber technique appeared in his mind. However, in the next moment, the originally powerful saber technique turned into a destructive sword technique. However, it turned into a sword technique that could destroy heaven and earth, and after a while, it turned into a spear technique that could shake heaven and earth like a torrential storm. When Xiao Chen's mind became clear, the scene in front of him changed to that of the man holding the saber, not moving at all. Xiao Chen tried to simulate a killing move in his mind to attack the person in front of him. However, every time he got close, it would be broken by the saber. No matter what kind of attack he used, it would be broken. Furthermore, he used an attack that was hundreds or thousands of times more ferocious. One move to break 10,000 techniques, one saber to shake the world. Xiao Chen flicked his finger and suddenly discovered that he could move again. The lunar shadow saber also returned to his hand. Xiao Chen quickly said, "Many thanks for Senior's guidance. Might I ask for Senior's great name?" That person did not answer Xiao Chen's question. He just minded his own business and said, "Battle Sage Origins, attacking Qi. There is no need to struggle with weapons or moves. One move to break 10,000 techniques, one Qi to shake the world. Remember not to make her cry." After he said that, a huge thunder rock flew over from the foot of the mountain. That person jumped onto the thunder rock and flew far away. This strange space disappeared and the scene in the underground room returned to Xiao Chen's vision. Chapter 57. Are you alright, young Master Xiao? Mo Fan asked worriedly when he saw Xiao Chen in a daze. Xiao Chen recovered his wits and said, "I seem to have obtained an inheritance while I was in a daze." When Mo Fan heard this, he was startled. He quickly called Xiao Chen to explain the process to him. After a while, Mo Fan said, "That person could very well be the Thunder King from 1,000 years ago. I did not expect him to actually pass down the Battle Sage technique to you. The Battle Sage technique came from the legendary Battle Sage origin. It was a secret technique that the ancestors comprehended from the battle sage origin. It was one of the strongest martial techniques in the Tianwu continent. Back then, the Thunder King relied on it to sweep across the world, undefeatable. However, the battle sage technique was split into 6 parts when the battle sage origin split. Even the Thunder King only managed to learn the changing character formula. If he could learn 6 different battle sage techniques and combine them into the battle sage origin, he would be undefeatable. Thinking of the last words that person left behind, Xiaochen said doubtfully, that person said something about not letting her cry again. I don't know what that meant. When Mo Fan heard this, he also did not understand. Xiaochen suddenly remembered that Ao Jiao had not spoken for a long time. After obtaining the heavenly soldier, he was too excited and seemed to have forgotten about her. He could not help but feel guilty. The reason why he could obtain this heaven-ranked spirit weapon was all because of Ao Jiao. Xiaochen quickly looked at her. With one look, he was astonished. He saw that Ao Jiao's body had already become so thin that only an afterimage remained. It looked like it would scatter at any moment. Xiaochen was very anxious. He quickly rushed over and said, "Hey, younger sister Ao Jiao, what's wrong? Don't scare me." There seemed to be traces of tears at the corner of Ao Jiao's eyes. She did not reply to Xiaochen. Instead, she revealed a bitter smile. After being together for so long, Xiaochen had never seen her smile. At this moment, he suddenly realized that she looked so beautiful when she smiled. Ao Jiao's hands were constantly changing hand seals, and her body became thinner and thinner. In the end, her hands formed a bright seal, and her body shone brightly. "Hey, Ao Jiao, what are you doing?" Xiaochen was very anxious. He wanted to stop Ao Jiao, but he reached out and grabbed nothing. He directly passed over Ao Jiao's body. Ao Jiao's body finally disappeared completely, turning into a resplendent seal and entering the lunar shadow saber with a "so" sound. The light was withdrawn. There seemed to be some changes within the lunar shadow saber. Xiaochen felt that a significant amount of the energy contained in the saber had disappeared. However, at this moment, he could not care about these problems. Xiaochen asked Mo Fan, "Big brother Mo, what's wrong with Ao Jiao? Why did she suddenly disappear?" Mo Fan's expression turned grave, and he recalled the hand seals that Ao Jiao formed earlier. He said, "Hand over your lunar shadow saber and let me take a look." Xiaochen handed the saber over. Mo Fan received it and looked at it carefully. After a long time, the grave expression on his face slowly disappeared. He smiled and said, "Young Master Xiao, there is no need to worry. Ao Jiao only used a secret technique to nourish the sword with her body. She temporarily sealed this sword to a superior grade profound ranked spirit weapon." Xiaochen's expression did not change for the better. He said, "What do you mean? The saber is a small matter. I just want to know if Ao Jiao will wake up or not." Mo Fan explained, "The biggest difference between a heaven-ranked spirit weapon and a subdivine weapon is the lack of a sword spirit. If an ordinary person wants to forge a subdivine weapon, they would need a divine-grade spirit stone. However, in this world, divine-grade spirit stones are very precious. Not to mention divine-grade spirit stones, even superior-grade spirit stones are very rare. However, Ao Jiao herself is a sword spirit. If she wants to raise this lunar shadow saber to a subdivine weapon, she would need to use herself to nourish the sword spirit. Because of this, this lunar shadow saber is temporarily lowered to superior grade profound ranked. However, it will definitely become a subdivine weapon in the future." Why did she do this? Xiaochen could not understand. He held the lunar shadow saber in his hand again and said, "How long will it take for her to wake up?" Mo Fan said, "That will depend on yourself." Xiaochen did not understand and said, "Depend on myself? What do you mean? Try brandishing the lunar shadow saber in your hand." Mo Fan said. When Xiaochen heard this, he grasped the hilt of the lunar shadow saber and casually brandished it in the air. A cold light flickered on the saber's blade as it quietly streaked across the air, not making any sound. Xiao Chen's expression changed. The purple thunder divine incantation circulated rapidly in his body. The blue dragon martial spirit immediately established a connection with the ice on the lunar shadow saber. Electricity flickered on the saber. Every time he brandished it, there would be a roar of thunder. When Xiao Chen brandished it, there was even an indistinct blue dragon behind the saber. All this showed that although this lunar shadow saber was only a superior grade profound ranked spirit weapon, the energy contained within it was something that even a regular earth-ranked spirit weapon could not compare to. However, the problem was that Xiao Chen did not hear the saber hum. No matter how much strength he used, the lunar shadow saber did not hum at all. What's going on? Am I not its master already? Xiao Chen was filled with doubts in his heart. Mo Fan said, although the lunar shadow saber recognized you as its master, you do not understand it. If there is a day when you can make the lunar shadow saber hum for you, Ao Jiao might be able to come out earlier. After the two of them chatted for a while, Xiao Chen expressed his intention to take his leave. Mo Fan did not try to hold him back and sent Xiao Chen to the door. After staying in the basement for a long time, the air was not very good. Now that he was on the street, the fresh air assaulted his nostrils. Xiao Chen took a deep breath. The spirit weapon was already formed. Although there were some ups and downs in the process, it basically fulfilled the requirements in Xiao Chen's heart. His purpose for coming out today was also accomplished. It was time to return. However, Xiao Chen kept feeling that something was missing in his heart. His mind kept replaying the hazy contact with Ao Jiao in the basement, as well as the final words the Thunder King said. Don't let her cry anymore. Not long after he left, Feng Feishue's figure slowly appeared in the small alley. She had rushed over after seeing the mysterious phenomenon. She wanted to see who was so lucky to actually obtain a heaven weapon. This brat is really hard to see through. Young miss, you invited Great Master Mo 3 times, but he was not moved. To think that he was actually willing to forge a heaven weapon for him. A hoarse voice came from the shadows behind Feng Feishue, speaking with some envy. A faint smile appeared on Feng Feishue's exquisite face. She played with a red hairpin in her hand and said with some playfulness, Tree, don't tell me you are thinking of killing me to snatch my treasure? The man who was called a tree said, there is more than one heaven weapon. There is no need to offend young miss for it. However, thinking about the mission that the clan head gave you, it looks like you will not be able to complete it. I have never liked to force others. The conditions that I gave were already generous enough. If you still do not agree, then there is no need. Furthermore, this time, the real mission had a great discovery. This trip was not in vain. It was already close to dusk. However, because Linlang Pavilion was holding a large-scale auction, there were still many people on the street. As Xiao Chen walked on the street, he suddenly saw a large group of people gathered a few hundred meters in front of him. Xiao Chen remembered that there seemed to be a dueling ring in front of him. At this moment, there was a large crowd gathered there. There was definitely a duel of great importance being held there. The people of the Tianmu continent were very valiant. These kinds of dueling rings could be seen everywhere. Furthermore, business was very good. On the street, there would often be people coming here to duel due to a disagreement. Or after they cultivated to a certain level, they would invite their enemies to duel there. They could also fork out money to challenge the arena master and win a large sum of money. Dueling was one reason, but the more important reason was to quickly become famous. The requirements for these kinds of dueling rings were very low, but they were very widespread. If one could win a few rounds in a row, they would be able to quickly make a name for themselves in the local area, attracting the attention of some large clans. Seeing that it was still early, and that the dueling ring was very lively, Xiao Chen decided to go and take a look. Is the Xiao clan full of trash like you? With just this bit of ability, you dare to call yourself the #1 person of Mo City's younger generation? If you entered the demonic beast forest, trash like you would not even last a day. Before he got close to the dueling ring, a voice came from inside. Xiao Chen was somewhat astonished. Mo City's #1 person of the younger generation. Could it be Xiao Jian? Why did he come here? And who was the person who spoke? Hearing the voice, it seemed familiar. Xiao Chen felt curious and quickly parted the crowd, quickly walking forward. Ignoring the curses of the people around him, Xiao Chen used his essence to force his way through the crowd. When he arrived before the dueling ring, he finally saw what was going on. The two people fighting on the dueling ring were the Haotian sword, Zhang He, and Xiao Jian. At this moment, Xiao Jian was covered in sword wounds, looking extremely miserable, but he was still bitterly holding on. On the other hand, Zhang He was dressed in white robes and was not injured at all. There were no visible wounds on his face, and he had a calm expression on his face. He could have ended the duel long ago, but he was clearly toying with Xiao Jian, suppressing the reputation of the Xiao clan. When Xiao Jian, who was in the dueling ring, heard Zhang He's insulting words, the expression on his face turned incomparably furious. He howled and raised his sword, rushing at Zhang He once again. Xiao Chen shook his head in his heart. Under such a situation, he still could not calm down, rushing over rashly in a hot-headed manner. This would only result in an even more cruel humiliation. Indeed, it was as Xiao Chen expected. Before Xiao Jian could even get close, he was struck by a few strands of sword qi from Zhang He, adding a few more wounds on his body. Zhang He flew forward and kicked Xiao Jian's body, causing him to fall back heavily. Zhang He mocked, "Even that trash from the Xiao clan is stronger than you. At the very least, he could force me to vomit blood. You can't even touch me." Hearing Zhang He say that he was not as good as Xiao Chen, Xiao Jian's face twitched. It was unknown where he got his strength from, but he suddenly rushed forward and struck Zhang He. Like a madman, he shouted loudly as he hugged Zhang He and retreated continuously. The sudden turn of events caused Zhang He to be caught unprepared. A furious expression appeared on his previously relaxed face. Countless strands of sword qi suddenly drilled out of his body, sending Xiao Jian flying with a bang. The sword qi crisscrossed and danced chaotically, surrounding Zhang He's body so tightly that not even a drop of water could escape. After Xiao Jian got up, all of his attacks were unable to break through the barrier formed by the sword qi. Xiao Chen's eyes lit up as he carefully observed the barrier formed by the sword qi. Previously, his divine thunder break had been easily broken by this person using this move. At this moment, Zhang He's face finally turned serious. His gaze was as calm as water as he stared at Xiao Jian. He brandished his sword 3 times and 3 strands of tyrannical sword qi flew towards the 3 acupoints in Xiao Jian's dantian. Not good, he is going to cripple Xiao Jian, Xiao Chen thought to himself. He had to save him. Although he did not like this person, they were both from the Xiao clan. With his character, he would not be able to be apathetic and leave someone to die. Pooh! 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 A resplendent electric light shot out from Xiao Jian's hand. In the blink of an eye, an electric light flashed in the air, breaking through Zhang He's 3 strands of sword qi. After that, Xiao Jian's aura did not decrease as he flew towards Zhang He with a purple light. Chapter 58. After the purple lightning broke through the 3 strands of sword qi, its might had already decreased. With Zhang He's strength as a medial-grade martial master, it would be easy for him to dodge it. However, when he saw who it was, he immediately changed his mind. Pu Ci. The boundless sword qi danced chaotically in all directions. The resplendent lightning was quickly swallowed up by the sword qi, disappearing into the air. Xiao Chen, are you going to help this trash? This is breaking the rules of the arena. Zhang He smiled coldly as he looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Jian, who was covered in injuries, found it difficult to even stand up. He bent his back and looked at Xiao Chen with a pained expression. He smiled with difficulty, "You are just trash, I do not need you to help me." Xiao Chen saw that he did not know what was good for him and could not be bothered with him. He said to Zhang He, "Whether it is breaking the rules or not, it is not up to you to decide. When you made your move earlier, it was clear that you wanted to kill him. I don't remember this arena holding a duel to the death. Arena Master, don't you think so? If the eldest son of my Xiao clan's clan head dies in your arena, You will not be able to escape responsibility, Xiaochen turned around and said to a middle-aged man. That arena master smiled awkwardly. Indeed, his arena did not have the qualifications to hold a duel to the death. If he wanted to hold such a duel, he would need to apply for a higher standard. Even so, the city rarely interfered in such matters. Even if he really did hold a duel, no one would really pursue it. That arena master actually had a strong background and was not afraid of Xiaochen. However, Xiaochen had picked on his shortcomings in front of everyone. He was in a difficult position. He waved his hand and said, "The two of you, carry young Master Xiao down and hand the spirit weapon in his hand to young Master Zhang. Young Master Zhang has won this duel." Xiao Jian was not satisfied, but he did not have any combat prowess. He was easily carried away by the two cultivators. Zhang he took the spirit weapon and tossed it to one of the people below. He smiled and said, "A superior grade yellow-ranked spirit weapon. Not bad, Zhang Wu will give it to you." That person was also a cultivator of the Zhang clan. When he suddenly obtained a superior grade yellow-ranked spirit weapon, he smiled excitedly, "Many thanks, young master. Let's go. I don't think the Xiao clan has any experts. They are just a bunch of trash." Zhang he turned around and was about to leave. That person called Zhang Wu also said, "That's right. What Mo City's #1 youth?" In the end, he could not even touch the corner of young master's clothes. He is simply bullshit. I heard that this Zhang he is practicing martial arts in the prefecture's Whitewood Academy. The person teaching him is a supreme elder of the Misty Sword sect. The Misty Sword sect's understanding of the Sword Tao is unparalleled in the great Qin nation. This Zhang he is the disciple of their supreme elder. No wonder he is so powerful. That's right. Actually, Xiao Jian is not weak either. He is already a martial master at such a young age. However, he could not even touch the corner of Zhang He's clothes. You guys don't know this, but what Zhang He sent out earlier was an authentic sword qi and not the release of essence. He has an innate spiritual martial spirit, the Haotian sword. That is why he is able to send out a sword qi that only a martial saint can. The Haotian sword, the spiritual martial spirit, and his teacher is a sword Tao master. It seems like no one in Mo City is a match for him. This promise of 10 years, Seven Horn Mountain is going to have a new owner. The people below were all discussing the earlier duel. When they saw that Zhang he was about to leave, they all expressed their opinions. It had to be said that some of the people here had their own unique opinions. When Zhang he heard these discussions, his expression changed slightly. However, he felt elated in his heart. In the prefecture's prefecture, his talent could only be considered good and not the best. However, in this small Mo city, he could be said to be unrivaled within the same generation. "You want to leave after beating someone up?" Xiao Chen suddenly said indifferently as he watched the two people leave. Zhang he was stunned for a moment before he turned around and smiled. "Xiao Chen, you can't be so naive as to challenge me, right?" "Why not?" Xiao Chen looked at Zhang he without any fear in his eyes. There was no fear in his eyes at all. Zhang he seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. He pointed at Xiao Chen's nose and said, "You can't be thinking that just because I praised you a little, you would think that you are a big shot, right?" Zhang Wu had obtained a spirit weapon and was eager to show off. He said, "First young master, this brat is reckless. He is only a medial grade martial disciple, yet he dares to challenge you. Let me go and test him out." Zhang he thought for a while. Zhang Wu was a peak superior grade martial disciple, and he even had a spirit weapon on him. As for Xiao Chen, he was only a medial grade martial disciple. Although he had a strand of strange flame, he did not have a spirit weapon, so he should not be a match for Zhang Wu. He said, "Sure, but you have to be careful of his martial spirit. It is a strand of flame that is very clingy." After Zhang Wu heard this, he immediately stood on the arena and shouted at Xiao Chen, "Xiao clan's trash, you are not worthy for my young master to make a move. I, Zhang Wu, can easily slap you to death." This Zhang Wu just obtained a spirit weapon. It looks like he wants to stand out. Although he is not comparable to Xiao Jian, he is a peak superior grade martial disciple. He is one of the top experts among the younger generation in Mo City. This Xiao Chen is really reckless. In the past, when he was still trash, anyone could bully him. Now that he has just condensed his martial spirit, he is already so arrogant. He is really reckless. What do you know? This Xiao Chen managed to advance to medial grade martial disciple in less than a month. His aptitude is definitely not bad. Even if his aptitude is not bad, he is only a medial grade martial disciple. Furthermore, he does not have a spirit weapon. It would be impossible for him to defeat Zhang Wu. Xiao Chen's gaze was like water. The discussions below did not disrupt his thoughts. He looked at Zhang Wu and said indifferently, "You are not my opponent. If you want to fight, then use your spirit weapon as the wager." Zhang Wu smiled, "What an arrogant brat. Fine, I agree to it. What if you lose? I will naturally take out a treasure of equivalent value to give it to you." The two of them went to the arena master and signed a duel agreement. This was not a duel to the death, so if one party clearly did not have any combat prowess, the other party was not allowed to kill him. If the other party gave up, the other party was not allowed to make a move. Otherwise, it would be considered a violation of the rules and they would lose the wager. The two of them stood at a corner of the arena and bowed to each other. The duel had officially begun. Xiao Chen did not want to be caught up in this duel. Later on, he still had to fight with Zhang He. That was the most important thing. This duel had to be concluded quickly, so he decided to make the first move. Sang. Before he went up to the arena, the purple thunder divine incantation in his body was already circulating rapidly. Xiao Chen was already at his peak condition. After he bowed, Xiao Chen stomped on the ground and leaped forward. His figure soared, and the wind whistled as he rushed over. What a fast speed! Zhang Wu was startled. He did not expect that Xiao Chen, who was an entire cultivation realm lower than him, would actually dare to make the first move. This was simply too bold. Zhang Wu quickly retreated 2 steps. He held his sword in his right hand and as he retreated, he sent out a sword light, trying to force Xiao Chen to retreat temporarily. Pu Ci. A large electric light appeared on Xiao Chen's arm. When Xiao Chen saw the dense sword light, a gleam flashed in his eyes. He did not have any intention of dodging. Using his finger as a sword, Xiao Chen's aura was awe-inspiring. Like a bolt of lightning, he pierced into the sword light. What is he trying to do? If he enters like that, one of his arms will be chopped off, the spectators below exclaimed. The corner of Zhang He's mouth curled up in a cold smile. Your speed is fast, but my sword light has already covered my entire body. If you dare to enter, I will make sure you leave your arm behind. When Zhang He saw this situation, he did not understand. Only a person who had tempered their physical body to the point that it was as tough as steel would dare to use their physical body to fight against a spirit weapon. This Xiao Chen had clearly not cultivated to such a level. Why did he dare to enter Zhang Wu's sword light with his bare hands? Xiao Chen's right hand had already touched the edge of the sword light. If it went any further, his entire palm would immediately be chopped off. From then on, he would truly become a cripple. However, just at this moment, Xiao Chen's right hand suddenly stopped. It moved like a torrential downpour. Even when it stopped, it did not seem to move at all. It stopped firmly in front of the sword light. Xiao Chen's right hand continuously changed hand seals. In an instant, it changed endlessly. When Zhang Wu saw that Xiao Chen had stopped, he knew that this was a clear opening. He immediately wanted to send the sword light forward to defeat him. Boom! A bolt of lightning appeared out of nowhere, striking down at Zhang Wu's head. This was the lightning descent that Xiao Chen had modified. Its might was much weaker than the original version, but it was more efficient. When it got close, it could be executed instantly. Zhang Wu had been confused by the illusion that Xiao Chen created earlier. Now that he discovered the danger, it was already too late for him to escape. He could only release all the essence in his body, trying to block this sudden bolt of lightning. Bang! The bolt of lightning traveled from the top of Zhang Wu's head to his feet. Because it was much weaker, he did not receive any serious injuries. However, his movements were temporarily paralyzed. While you are weak, I will take your life. This was Xiao Chen's usual technique. He immediately went forward and moved his fingers like a flower, poking Zhang Wu's chest 6 times. 6 purple flames pierced through Zhang Wu's chest and landed on the floor of the arena. After they penetrated half a meter deep, they suddenly dissipated. Because killing was not allowed in the arena, Xiao Chen did not leave the purple flames in Zhang Wu's body. Otherwise, Zhang Wu would have already turned into ashes. How is this possible? He actually defeated Zhang Wu in an instant. Indeed, that final flame was really tyrannical. Zhang Wu had already used his essence to cover his entire body, but it still managed to pierce through 6 bloody holes. However, he is really scheming. If Zhang Wu had been bewitched by him earlier, that bolt of lightning would not have struck him. The crowd below started to exclaim. No one had expected that Xiao Chen would be able to defeat Zhang Wu in 2 moves. Zhang He flew onto the arena and sealed a few of Zhang Wu's acupoints to stop the bleeding. After that, he took out some medicine and applied it on the wounds. After not seeing you for a while, your flames have become even more tyrannical. However, if you want to fight with me, you are still unable to take out an appropriate wager. Xiao Chen did not say anything. He received the spirit weapon that the arena master handed over and tossed it to Xiao Jian. Xiao Jian's injuries were mainly external. At this moment, he had already recovered significantly. He looked at Xiao Chen with a complicated expression. There was a myriad of emotions in his eyes. Tsang! Xiao Chen suddenly took out the lunar shadow saber from his universe ring and slowly tossed it between the 2 of them. The lunar shadow saber smoothly entered the rocks of the arena. There was not a single sound as the saber easily entered, leaving only the handle outside. The sharpness of the lunar shadow saber could be seen clearly. Superior grade profound ranked spirit weapon. A fiery light flashed in Zhang He's eyes as he stared at the lunar shadow saber in the arena. Chapter 59. Since you want to give me this profound ranked spirit weapon, I will reluctantly accept it, Zhang He said arrogantly as he looked at the lunar shadow saber embedded in the rock with a fervent gaze. Xiao Chen waved his hand and sent out a strong force. The lunar shadow saber in the rock returned to his hand. He said, I want your shadow-bearing sword. Zhang He's expression changed. This shadow-bearing sword was also a high-grade profound ranked spirit weapon. It was their Zhang clan's heirloom. After he became a martial master, his clan had bestowed the shadow-bearing sword to him. Who would have thought that Xiao Chen would actually want to take it away today? This was simply wishful thinking. His Zhang clan's inherited item was not an ordinary spirit weapon. In the past few hundred years, many people had designs on it, but none of them succeeded. Zhang He smiled coldly. What arrogant words. You actually want my Qingying sword? Do you have the life to take it? This fellow must be crazy. By defeating Zhang Wu, he has already helped the Xiao clan gain some prestige. Yet, he still dares to challenge Zhang He. The difference between the 2 of them is an entire realm. This kind of difference is something that cannot be made up for with external items, unless he has a heaven-ranked martial technique or a divine weapon. Heaven-ranked martial technique? Is that possible? Even the Misty Sword sect only has 1 low-ranked martial technique as an inheritance. How could a small Xiao clan have one? Even if he did, given his cultivation level, using it would only result in mutual destruction. The 2 people on the stage ignored the discussions below. After the arena master signed the contract, the duel officially began. Both of their statuses were somewhat special, and both sides were filled with the smell of gunpowder. The arena master was afraid that the 2 of them would fight for real, so he stepped forward and said, I'll say it one more time. After one side forfeits, the other side must not make any more moves. Otherwise, I will personally take action. This arena master looked very ordinary, but in reality, in Mo City, he was the only person who dared to open an arena. They had to be at least a martial grandmaster. Otherwise, any random person would be able to defeat the arena master. If that was the case, there would be no need for the arena. The two of them didn't take the ring master's words to heart. They weren't stupid. They would never truly kill the other party. That would only cause the two clans to go to war earlier. At most, they would only cripple the other party's cultivation. In the arena, the two of them each stood in a corner, staring at each other. Both of them were brewing their killing intent, waiting for the moment when their auras were at their peak. Both of their auras clashed in the air. Although their bodies did not move, the invisible battle had already begun. However, what surprised Zhang He was that Xiao Chen's aura was actually not weaker than his. He was actually unable to completely suppress him. The people below also felt that it was strange. With Xiao Chen's cultivation, he was actually able to fight against Zhang He without being at a disadvantage. This battle might not be one-sided. Earlier, Xiao Jian, an inferior-grade martial master, could not even touch the corner of my clothes. Do you think that you, a medial-grade martial disciple, have a chance? Seeing that he was unable to suppress Xiao Chen with his aura, Zhang He decided to attack Xiao Chen with his words, hoping to find an opening. Xiao Chen was not a brainless person like Xiao Jian. Naturally, he knew what Zhang He was planning. He said mockingly, "When I was an inferior-grade martial disciple, I could already make you vomit blood. Now that I have advanced to medial-grade martial disciple, it is not impossible for me to kill you." Zhang He smiled faintly. "Do you think that the successors of those holy lands can go against the heavens and kill immortals? You have not even used your Haotian sword Qi and you actually think that you are something. Whether I am something or not, we will only know after we fight," Xiao Chen said coldly, deciding to make the first move. After all, there was a difference in cultivation between him and Zhang He. If they fought for a long time, he would definitely be the one to reveal an opening. At that time, it was very likely that he would be killed in one strike. Lightning evasion. There was a thunderous roar and Xiao Chen suddenly appeared behind Zhang He. The lunar shadow saber created a black saber image in the air, hacking at Zhang He with lightning speed. In the instant that Xiao Chen disappeared from his original spot, Zhang He already felt that something was wrong. After he heard the thunder, he immediately understood where Xiao Chen had landed. Zhang He spread out his arms and bent his legs. With a ferocious leap, he left the ground. Behind him, the indistinct figure of a huge rock could be seen spreading its wings. This is the famous movement technique of the Misty Sword Sect's Supreme Elder, Heavenly Rock Spreading Wings. Legend has it that when it is practiced to great perfection, it can roam the four seas. Within a breath, it can fly 1,000 kilometers, a knowledgeable person below said. Earlier, because of this movement technique, Xiao Jian could not even touch the corner of Zhang He's clothes. I originally thought that the secret technique that Xiao Chen executed would be able to resolve Xiao Jian's predicament. Looks like it is not possible, someone sighed. Zhang He, who had leaped into the air, did not land on the ground. Instead, he strangely turned around and flew towards Xiao Chen like a huge bird. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. He was astonished in his heart. Heavenly Rock Spreading Wings. It is indeed powerful. It can actually allow a person to leave the ground for a short period of time. It looks like the legends about it are very detailed. Bang! There was no time to think. Zhang He's speed was extremely fast, and the two of them exchanged moves. Xiao Chen's cultivation realm was lower than Zhang He's. Although he could rely on the Blue Dragon martial spirit and its boundless strength, he was able to display a strength that surpassed his cultivation realm. He did not have a higher-ranked spirit weapon in his hands. However, Xiao Chen did not have a higher-ranked spirit weapon, so he could not bring out the full might of the Azure Dragon martial spirit. In terms of absolute strength, he was still slightly inferior to Zhang He. Furthermore, with Zhang He's Heavenly Rock Spreading Wings, this supreme movement technique sword strike contained a strength that was close to that of a martial grandmaster. When the saber and sword clashed, the huge force transmitted from the sword caused Xiao Chen to feel extremely strained. His body flew backwards. What was even more troublesome was that the Haotian's sword chi from the sword had already surged into his body. The holy sword that had existed since ancient times had turned into sword chi that rampaged through Xiao Chen's meridians in a domineering manner. As he retreated, Xiao Chen dispelled this terrifying sword chi. When he retreated to the edge of the arena, with one foot in the air, he finally dispelled this sword chi. Hooking his feet to the ground, he somersaulted in the air and stood on the stage once more. The people below all exclaimed. They originally thought that he would be sent flying out of the arena by Zhang He's sword. They never expected that he would still be standing on the arena in the end. However, there were even more people who did not understand. It was such a good opportunity. Why did Zhang He not follow up with another sword strike? With that, he would be able to send Xiao Chen flying. They could not help but discuss it. Hearing the discussions below, Zhang He was indeed suffering in his heart. Earlier, although his sword chi had entered Xiao Chen's body, it was not able to withstand it. Although his sword chi had entered Xiao Chen's body, the electricity in Xiao Chen's saber had also entered his body. The electricity formed by the Purple Thunder divine incantation was not much weaker than his holy sword chi. If he did not dispel it, it would be a huge problem in the following battles. Again. After completely neutralizing the lightning glow, Zhang He shouted out explosively. The huge heavenly rock behind him actually let out a clear and bright cry. His figure streaked through the air, leaving behind a series of afterimages. A 2-meter-long sword light lit up on his sword. Using the speed of a waterfall, it carried a boundless aura as it flew towards Xiao Chen. The heavenly rock actually let out a cry. This is the second layer of the heavenly rock spreading wings. I did not expect him to have practiced this supreme secret technique to the second layer at such a young age. Indeed, this is too scary. Legend has it that the sword sage of the Misty Sword sect was able to make the heavenly rock let out a divine cry. Without even making a move, it could shatter a person's heart and lungs. Furthermore, Zhang He even activated the supreme might of the Haotian sword. With the holy sword and the heavenly rock, Xiao Chen will definitely lose. Facing the valiant Zhang He, the people below let out cries of alarm once again. Under such a strong might, everyone believed that Xiao Chen had no chance at all. This move of Zhang He's could even hold his own against a martial grandmaster. Even when the arena master saw Zhang He execute the second layer of the heavenly rock spreading wings, his expression changed. Xiao Chen's expression turned grave as he looked at the sword flying towards him. He knew he could not hold back anymore, so he gently flipped the lunar shadow saber in his hand. The lunar shadow saber started to spin rapidly and a surging chi surged out. Everyone in the surroundings felt their bodies tremble. The lightning on the sword lit up like a thunderbolt. The sky, which was already nearing dusk, seemed to have been ignited at this moment. The sun shone like fire, making it as bright as day. However, what was even more horrifying was the tyrannical chi that came from the saber. It was like the roar of a thunderous beast, or the arrival of a magnificent army. It was berserk and ferocious. Not good, this spirit weapon actually has a demonic core embedded in it. I'm afraid it is a martial king demonic beast. Everyone, retreat quickly. If the demonic chi leaks out, ordinary cultivators would bleed from their 7 orifices and die. This is too scary, there is actually a spirit weapon with a demonic core embedded in it. The crowd was extremely horrified and scattered in all directions. However, they did not go far. Instead, they stood far away, watching the battle with excitement in their eyes. Against Zhang He, who possessed the Haotian sword, the crowd originally thought that it would be a one-sided battle. They did not expect that Xiao Chen actually had a demonic weapon. There had not been such an exciting battle in Mo City for a long time, so naturally, they could not miss it. Using the movement technique, heavenly rock spreading wings, coupled with the ancient holy sword, the Haotian sword chi clashed violently against the lunar shadow saber with the rank 6 thunder rock embedded in it. Boom! When the electric light and the sword light clashed, a loud sound rang out from the arena. The crowd, who were far away, felt their eardrums tremble. It was simply too horrifying. A trace of blood leaked out from the corner of Xiao Chen's mouth. he took a heavy step back, leaving behind a 1-meter deep footprint. It was clear what kind of pressure Xiao Chen was enduring. Zhang He's body flew backward, using the movement technique, heavenly rock spreading wings. He moved around in the air, dissipating the force from the lunar shadow saber. With a gentle push, Zhang He's body landed firmly on the ground. His clothes fluttered and his long hair fluttered. Coupled with his handsome face, he looked extremely elegant. This time, the two of them were actually evenly matched, unable to tell who had the upper hand. Suppressing the surging qi and blood in his body, Zhang He's eyes were as calm as still water. There was no longer any contempt in his eyes. He smiled faintly. I really did not expect that you would have such a demonic weapon. However, as the saying goes, rare treasures belong to outstanding talents. If this is all you have today, then I will be taking this demonic weapon. Shadow-bearing sword. Zhang He shouted loudly and casually tossed aside the sword in his hand. A sword image streaked across the sky. The shadow-bearing sword, which had been passed down in the Zhang clan for hundreds of years, appeared in Zhang He's hands. Chapter 60. Zhang He is actually going to use the Qingying sword. I heard that the origin of this Qingying sword is not simple. It is not an ordinary profound ranked spirit weapon. It's not just a rumor. It really has an extraordinary origin. This shadow-bearing sword hides a wisp of noble spirit. It is said that the ancestor of the Zhang family begged a sword saint for it. Shadow-bearing sword against lunar shadow saber. A clash between saber and sword. Neither is an ordinary weapon. I wonder who will win this time. Do you still need to say that? It must be Zhang He. His strength is originally higher than Xiao Chen's. Now that he has the help of a powerful weapon, how could he lose? There had never been such an exciting battle in Mo City before. When the crowd in the distance saw Zhang He use the shadow-bearing sword, the sounds of discussion became even more lively. Xiao Chen held his saber and stood upright. His body was as straight as a pillar. Electric light flickered on the blade of his saber. His eyes were burning with a strong desire to fight. Even though Zhang He had used the Qingying sword, he did not show any signs of fear. Gently stroking the Qingying sword, Zhang He said indifferently, "This Qingying sword contains a strand of righteous qi. It was left behind by a sword saint that the Zhang clan ancestor saved. In the past, that sword saint comprehended the righteous spirit and was unrivaled in the 4 seas. Although there is only a wisp of it in this sword, it can exist for thousands of years and never dissipate. Today, it is your honor to die under this sword. Noble spirit." Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart. Although this righteous qi was powerful, it was only something from the Holy Land. The battle sage origin that Ao Jiao left behind in the lunar shadow saber belonged to the Thunder King. The Thunder King had used 1/6 of the battle sage origins to forge the Thunderwood sword. It was unknown how many saints had been killed. If Zhang He wanted to use this as proof, Xiao Chen did not mind giving him a pleasant surprise. When Zhang He saw that Xiao Chen's aura did not change, he could not help but feel a little disappointed. This Xiao Chen's heart was really strong. No words could break his heart. As long as one's heart remained calm, one's aura would not diminish, and it would be hard for one to find a weakness, making it difficult for others to attack. Since there are no openings, then I will create one. Zhang He thought to himself, filled with pride. If he could not even deal with a medial-grade martial disciple today, he would not be able to do anything to him. In the future, he would definitely become the joke of the prefecture city's Whitewood School. It would be impossible for him to enter the Holy Land. Therefore, he had to win this battle, and he had to win it by a huge margin. It was a victory that left others speechless and convinced, leaving behind a shadow that could not be erased for the rest of their lives. Zhang He let out an explosive shout and the righteous qi within the shadow-bearing sword surged out. A killing qi that could pierce the heavens and split the earth spread out in all directions. Before the sword move was executed, the force of the sword had already been formed. The righteous qi existed eternally in the heavens and earth. Wherever it attacked, it could kill gods and exterminate devils. The Haotian's sword qi follows my heart. Wherever the blade points, the qi will spread in all directions. The heavenly rock spread its wings, coming and going without a trace. It was as swift as the wind and as powerful as lightning. Kill! 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 In this instant, Zhang He had actually merged the three supreme techniques together. Coupled with the righteous qi of the Haotian sword and the exceptional movement technique, who in most city would be able to block him? In that instant, a strong wind blew and a boundless killing intent rushed toward Xiao Chen. The sword in Zhang He's hand lit up with a resplendent sword light. The 2-meter-long sword light was swallowing and spitting out a berserk sword qi. Pu ci. Xiao Chen had never seen such a fast sword before. In the previous moment, Zhang He's 2-meter-long sword light was still swallowing and spitting out. He did not even see Xiao Chen raise it, and in the next moment, the sword light had already arrived before him. Xiao Chen was incomparably astonished. At this moment, he actually felt a trace of the aura of death. For a long time, his greatest reliance was the heaven-ranked martial technique, dragon subduing slash. Even if the situation was at its worst, as long as he used the blue dragon, even 10 Zhang He's would turn to ashes. However, the situation in front of him was not good. Zhang He's speed was very fast. He was afraid that he would not even have the chance to use the blue dragon before he would be killed. At this moment, he did not have much time to think. The sword light had already touched the hair on his forehead. If he did not think of a way, he would be severely injured. There was no chance to dodge, so he could only receive it head-on. Heavenly Lightning Shield. At the most critical moment, at the moment of imminent peril, Xiao Chen used the Heavenly Lightning Shield. When he was only an inferior grade martial disciple, this Heavenly Lightning Shield was able to block the attack of a profound ranked martial technique. At this moment, he had already advanced to medial grade martial disciple. His essence was more than twice as dense as before. Thinking about it, the defense of the Heavenly Lightning Shield should have doubled as well. Bang! The sword light struck the defensive shield, flickering with electric light, giving off a loud sound. A huge force came from it. Xiao Chen, who was within the shield, was shaken to the point that his internal organs shifted positions. He vomited another mouthful of blood. His internal organs shifted positions. If it was a regular cultivator, they would have lost their combat prowess after receiving such an injury. However, Xiao Chen's body had been tempered by a large amount of spiritual energy. Furthermore, there was the continuous power of the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation. He did not have to worry too much about it and could continue fighting. Zhang He looked at the Heavenly Lightning Shield and frowned slightly. He did not know what kind of strong defensive martial technique this was. The cracks on the shield actually started to slowly mend. What kind of strong defensive martial technique is this? In front of the righteous qi, break for me. Flight on wings, one-line chop. Zhang He shouted lightly. It was as though he had merged with the sword. The brilliance of this sword was reserved, there was no color, no sound of the wind, no sword qi. It struck Xiao Chen's Heavenly Lightning Shield so casually. There was no sound, but the electric light on the shield quickly dissipated. Xiao Chen felt like he had suffered a heavy blow and vomited another mouthful of blood. Xiao Chen quickly formed hand seals with his hands. 2 of the 5 white clouds beside the blue dragon all scattered, turning into countless amounts of essence and pouring into the Heavenly Lightning Shield. The light on the shield became dazzling once again. Flight on wings, disordered dance of 1,000 years. Zhang He did not feel discouraged. He executed another powerful sword technique. Compared to the previous sword technique that was simple, this sword technique was extremely magnificent. The boundless sword qi was like a chaotic autumn rain, striking the Heavenly Lightning Shield. Zhang He's figure quickly changed positions in the air. Every time he changed positions, there would be 20 sword qi striking the Heavenly Lightning Shield. He changed positions in the air a total of 81 times, sending out a total of 1,620 sword qi. Every sword qi had half the might of the one-line chop. Xiao Chen supported the Heavenly Lightning Shield with all his might. Blood flowed continuously from his mouth. However, there was no sign of giving up in his eyes. He released his spiritual sense and did his best to capture the trajectory of Zhang He's movements, as well as the charm of his moves. Even though he was severely injured and was at a huge disadvantage, his heart was not in a mess. His aura did not decrease, and his weakness was not revealed. Flight on wings, I remember that it was a martial technique created by a sword sage from the Whitewood school. I did not expect this Zhang He to have learned it. Although it is only the first two moves, it is sufficient to show disdain for those of the same generation. That Xiao Chen is not simple either. Under the pressure of the righteous qi and the Haotian sword qi, he is still able to last until now. This is also because Zhang He did not truly merge the heavenly rock-spreading wings, the righteous qi, and the Haotian sword qi together. It only has the form but not the spirit. Perhaps that sword could even easily destroy a peak martial grand master. Look at that Zhang He, it looks like he is about to execute the third move of flight on wings. That's impossible, he is so young. Could it be that he comprehended the third move of flight on wings? The crowd in the distance let out cries of surprise again. Today's battle was an eye-opener for them. Not only Zhang He, but even Xiao Chen gave them a pleasant surprise. Flight on wings, moon bright like fire. Regardless of how shocked the crowd was, the third move of flight on wings, moon bright like fire, was executed by Zhang He in the end. In the arena, Zhang He stood 20 meters away from Xiao Chen. He pointed his sword at the sky. The originally dusky sky suddenly turned incomparably dark. A full moon slowly rose up. The bright moon hung high in the sky, giving off a resplendent light. A mysterious phenomenon actually appeared. What rank of martial technique is this flight on wings? Why is it so horrifying? No one had expected that the third move of flight on wings would actually cause a mysterious phenomenon. Suddenly, a faintly discernible figure appeared above the full moon. It was as though he came from beyond the heavens. He held a spiritual sword in his hand. Under the contrast of the full moon, the faintly discernible feeling gave people the impression that an immortal had descended. Zhang He, who was in the arena, gently brandished his sword, matching the figure in the sky. Suddenly, he pointed his sword at Xiao Chen, who was in the heavenly lightning shield. Xiao Chen felt as though his heart had stopped beating. The surrounding space was pitch black, and everyone had disappeared from his sight. There was no Zhang He, no arena master, no crowd. There was only the boundless darkness and the loneliness that filled the sky. This was a very frightening feeling. Those who were not in the middle of it would not be able to experience it. Xiao Chen's heart pounded wildly. At this moment, his heart seemed to waver. Just at this moment, the blue dragon martial spirit in his body gave a light shout. The pitch-black space immediately shattered into pieces. The space returned to its original state. Xiao Chen's heart finally stabilized. Zhang He's eyebrows twitched. Clearly, he felt that Xiao Chen's originally wavering heart had actually stabilized again. However, at this moment, he did not have the time to think too much. The bright moon had already risen, there was no chance for him to stop. Break for me! Zhang He shouted loudly and pointed his sword angrily at Xiao Chen. The figure in the sky also felt Zhang He's anger. At the same time, he shouted loudly, "Break for me! Break! Break! Break!" In an instant, the entire place was filled with Zhang He's angry roar. A supreme pressure spread out in all directions. There seemed to be an unparalleled might in the voice, causing people to feel a chill in their hearts. This is an immortal sound, an immortal sound. This moon bright like fire can actually emit an immortal sound. In the crowd in the distance, the weaker cultivators were directly knocked unconscious by this immortal sound. Even the stronger ones did not feel good. The immortal sound is already so terrifying. In that case, how powerful will the next sword move be? Someone in the crowd said with a trembling voice. Xiao Chen's heart was as calm as still water. The supreme technique in the compendium of cultivation, the purple thunder divine incantation, circulated frantically. His essence was being expended without any regard for his life. His body actually emitted a faint purple glow. Zhang He stood where he was, not moving forward at all. He simply aimed his sword at Xiao Chen, chopping down from a distance of 20 meters. What is he trying to do? Even if it is a martial saint expert, after the sword chi flew out 20 meters, its might would be greatly reduced. By doing this, he will not be able to break my heavenly lightning shield. Xiao Chen thought suspiciously in his heart. When he raised his head to take a look, his face revealed an extremely horrified expression. He finally understood what Zhang He was trying to do. The figure in the sky actually followed Zhang He's sword and approached him from afar, chopping down at him ruthlessly. The bright moon was like fire, resplendent in the sky. There was someone beyond the heavens. When a sword immortal arrived, how could mortals block it? Chapter 61. There was a loud explosion, and the place where Xiao Chen was standing on the arena shattered into pieces and dust. A 2-meter deep hole appeared in the arena made of heavenly mountain stone, causing everyone to exclaim in admiration. This moon bright like fire is very scary. It actually managed to create a big hole in the arena made of heavenly mountain stone. This person's future is limitless. In the past, the sword sage of White Wood School used the might of his sword to kill Emperor Wu. Indeed, the rise of the Zhang clan can already be seen clearly. After this battle, the power structure of Mo City will change completely. What do you guys think? Can this Xiao Chen withstand this move? Nonsense, do we even need to say that? Even the heavenly mountain stone has a big hole in it. The way I see it, that brat might not even have a corpse left. What a pity for that powerful demonic weapon. When Zhang He executed flight on wings, moon bright like fire, the crowd in the distance thought that the battle was already over. Although they felt that it was not enough, today's battle was a feast for their eyes. In the future, they would have sufficient capital to flaunt. The light scattered and the bright moon slowly descended. Zhang He's eyes were like a stream of water as black wind danced in the air. This move exhausted a large amount of his essence and the origin energy of the Haotian sword. If he still could not break the heavenly lightning shield, then he had no other methods. However, was there such a possibility? Obviously not. The corner of Zhang He's mouth curled up into a cold smile. He carried the shadow-bearing sword and walked towards the hole. His steps were relaxed and his expression was relaxed. However, he did not let down his guard at all. This Xiao Chen was merely a medial-grade martial disciple, yet he had given him too many surprises. It was hard for him to remain calm. Until the very last moment, he absolutely could not relax. At the bottom of the huge hole, Xiao Chen's clothes were already in tatters. He lay on the ground like a dead man. His eyes were tightly shut, and there were 2 traces of blood at the corners of his eyes. Blood was still flowing from his nose and mouth. His left hand was tightly clenched, as though there was something in it. The lunar shadow saber in his right hand was stabbed into the ground. Zhang He heaved a sigh of relief. No matter how he looked at it, Xiao Chen was severely injured and would not be able to fight anymore. Zhang He smiled gently and jumped down. He walked to the front of the lunar shadow saber and said indifferently, Zhang He will accept this demonic weapon. Just as his hand was about to touch the saber hilt, Xiao Chen's right hand suddenly moved. It slowly pointed at Zhang He and his tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. His eyes emitted a blood-red glow, and a strange smile appeared on his face. Coupled with his blood-stained face, he looked exceptionally terrifying. Zhang He's heart tightened as he felt a dangerous aura. At this moment, the movement technique of the heavenly rock spreading wings was displayed to its limits. He was like a huge bird soaring into the sky, instantly returning to the arena. Behind him, a strand of purple flame soared up like a huge python, closely following him. If he had been half a second slower, he would have been hit by the purple flames, and the consequences would have been unthinkable. The purple flames brushed past him from behind, and a spark landed on his hair. Instantly, there was a burnt smell. Most of his elegant long hair had been set on fire. Zhang He circulated his essence, and his hair instantly stood up. Every single strand of hair that stood up was burning with a purple flame. They slowly moved downwards, and in the next moment, they would reach his head. Shwa! Zhang He decisively chopped off all the burning strands of hair, and all the hair that stood up fell down. The originally elegant long hair had disappeared, and only half of it was left. There was also a burnt smell coming from it. At this moment, Zhang He's expression was extremely unsightly. The expression of someone eating shit was probably what Zhang He looked like right now. When the crowd in the distance saw Zhang He jumping down in a magnificent manner, they all thought that he would come out with the lunar shadow saber and end this battle. After a while, they were astonished to discover that Zhang He had jumped back up in a sorry state. His hair was suddenly set on fire, and his expression was as unsightly as if he had eaten shit. No one could guess what had happened. Did you guys feel it? The chi and blood of the person below seemed to be flourishing. That's right, I felt it too. This seems to be the scene before a breakthrough. It can't be. Could it be that after this person escaped death, his cultivation actually rose to superior grade martial disciple? Inside the hole, Xiaochen casually tossed aside the inferior grade spirit stone that he had absorbed in his left hand. The surface of the spirit stone had lost all its luster, and it looked no different from a normal stone. It no longer had any value. Feeling that the medicinal energy of the blood-replenishing pill that he had consumed earlier had completely dissipated, Xiaochen heaved a sigh of relief. Moon bright like fire was simply too scary. His heavenly lightning shield, which was comparable to an inferior grade earth-ranked martial technique, was like a thin piece of paper in front of him. It was completely useless. The figure that flew in from the sky was like an immortal descending. The might of his sword completely shattered the purple thunder divine incantation, causing him to bleed from his 7 orifices. If it were not for the blood-replenishing pill in his mouth, even with the heavenly lightning shield and the purple thunder divine incantation supporting his body, he would not have the strength to stand up. Xiaochen extended his spiritual sense and saw Zhang He standing in the arena. The corner of his mouth curled up into a gentle smile as he took out another medicinal pill from his universe ring and swallowed it. This was the essence swallowing pill. After consuming it, it could increase the user's strength by several times in a short period of time. It was extremely horrifying. After absorbing the inferior grade spirit stone, Xiaochen easily reached the peak of superior grade martial disciple. Now that he consumed the essence swallowing pill, his strength immediately soared to the realm of a medial grade martial master. At this moment, Xiaochen's absolute strength was already comparable to Zhang He's. With the help of the blue dragon martial spirit, his strength was even stronger than Zhang He's. The crowd in the distance could only feel that Xiaochen's strength was rising continuously. However, Zhang He, who was in the arena, could feel the aura pressing down on him. It was surging and surging, each wave stronger than the one before. Boom! Xiaochen stomped on the ground and leaped up ferociously, standing on the arena once again. The lunar shadow saber in his hand flickered with electricity. A boundless evil aura surged out in all directions, making him look like a demon from hell. This was the first time Zhang He revealed a grave expression. It was possible that he would be defeated by Xiaochen's saber. Such a thought unconsciously appeared in his heart. Flight on wings, one-word sword formula. Zhang He could no longer endure the pressure from Xiaochen's evil aura. He took the initiative to make the first move. It was extremely simple and had a reserved light. However, it contained a boundless might. Combined with the exceptional movement technique, heavenly rock spreading wings, he hacked at Xiaochen ruthlessly. Xiaochen smiled coldly. Previously, he had been observing Zhang He's movements. Now that his strength had increased, he was able to sense Zhang He's movements. Now that his strength had increased, Xiaochen could clearly see the movement technique that Zhang He was originally proud of. He could instantly see through Zhang He's movements. Flight on wings, one-word chop. Under Zhang He's astonished gaze, Xiaochen actually executed the same sword technique as Zhang He. It was also extremely simple and had a reserved light. Xiaochen moved later but arrived first. He dodged Zhang He's attack and went straight for his heart. This. How can this be? How can he know flight on wings? He only took a look. Zhang He was greatly astonished and his movements became chaotic. He was very clear on the might of the one-word chop. He quickly withdrew his sword to defend, wanting to block this sword. He had studied this flight on wings sword technique for many years. He had an incomparably deep understanding of it. After a moment of panic, he quickly thought of a way to block it. He moved his feet slightly and held his sword horizontally in front of his chest. The body of the sword was protecting his heart. He had calculated the angle of Xiao Chen's attack accurately. Dang! The saber and sword clashed, giving off a clear clashing sound. The huge force that came from the lunar shadow saber exceeded Zhang He's expectations. The sharp offensive chi instantly broke his perfect footwork. The lunar shadow saber, which contained a rank 6 demonic core, emitted a surging electric glow. It passed through the shadow-bearing sword and entered his body. The electric glow, which was filled with a ruthless chi, rampaged about in Zhang He's body. All the essence that blocked it instantly collapsed. Pooh! Zhang He felt something sweet in his throat and vomited a mouthful of blood. His body flew back 5 steps. He looked at Xiao Chen in astonishment and said in disbelief, "You actually merged unparalleled on wings and one-word chop into your own saber technique. How is this possible? Unparalleled on wings, disordered dance of 1,000 years." Xiao Chen did not reply Zhang He's words. He immediately executed the second move of unparalleled on wings. His body rapidly changed positions in the air and a saber light shot towards Zhang He. Sword chi crisscrossing. Zhang He shouted loudly and used the sword technique that he used to neutralize the divine thunder break earlier. This move could be used for both offense and defense. It was the martial technique that he was proud of. Countless sword chis protected Zhang He's body, dancing in the wind. It was airtight, blocking all of the attacks outside of his body. Xiao Chen did not have a holy sword martial spirit. Naturally, he could not use sword chi when he was still a martial master. Thus, he used the battle sage origins changing character formula to imitate this disordered dance of 1,000 years. However, he was unable to use sword chi and could only use saber lights made from essence. Even so, under the unparalleled offensive chi of the battle sage origin, any defensive martial technique would reveal an opening. Furthermore, he had the blue dragon martial spirit. The might of this saber light was not much weaker than Zhang He's sword chi. After Zhang He's sword chi blocked 1,000 saber lights, it was finally completely defeated. The remaining 200 saber lights struck Zhang He's body without any fear. Zhang He cried out in pain and groaned continuously. The clothes that were still intact on his body were torn into shreds by the saber lights. Hundreds of scarlet wounds appeared on his skin. Bang! After the disordered dance of 1,000 years was executed, Xiao Chen, who was about to land, kicked Zhang He, causing him to fall to the ground. After that, he turned around and landed firmly on the ground. Don't think that just because you used a secret technique to raise yourself to the same realm as me and learned flight on wings, I will not be able to do anything to you, Zhang He, who was on the ground, said ruthlessly as he looked at Xiao Chen. Holy sword, Haotian. He used his finger as a sword and pointed it at Xiao Chen. A resplendent holy sword appeared in front of him and a golden light lit up the sky. The surroundings were filled with golden light. This is the holy sword's origin. At this moment, he actually used the origin of the Haotian martial spirit. Indeed, it is too dangerous. If the holy sword were to break, all his cultivation would be destroyed and he would become a cripple. The crowd exclaimed once again. This Zhang He actually wanted to bet all his cultivation to fight against Xiao Chen. Unparalleled on wings, moon bright like fire. Xiao Chen looked at Zhang He calmly. The battle sage origin slowly simulated the third move of the unparalleled on wings and the mysterious phenomenon appeared again. The sky was pitch black and a full moon slowly rose up again. However, this full moon did not have a nimble figure. It only hung high up in the sky, radiating light in all directions. As for the person from beyond the sky that did not appear, Xiao Chen understood in his heart. His comprehension of the way of the sword was far from sufficient. This moon bright like fire sword move could only display its form and not its spirit. However, Xiaochen had his own methods. The battle sage origin was the strongest offensive chi in the world. No one could block it. Since he was unable to comprehend the intricacies of the sword, then he would use its absolute might. He would use force to break through technique, deciding the world with one saber strike. With a swing of the saber, the full moon in the sky slowly descended, violently crashing into the Haotian holy sword in Zhang He's hands. Chapter 62. Boom! The full moon landed on the arena, giving off a loud sound. This time, the moon bright like fire was much stronger than the one Zhang He had used earlier. The huge arena was shattered into countless pieces. A huge shockwave spread out in all directions. Some of the people who were standing closer to the arena were struck by the shattered pieces. Their chi and blood surged, and they suffered significant injuries. This was truly an undeserved calamity. The dust on the arena danced in the air. The people who were far away could not see what was happening. They could not help but feel anxious when they saw what was happening. What a strong moon bright like fire, it is even stronger than the one Zhang He executed. There is dust everywhere. Who won? Although they wanted to know the result, they were afraid that something unexpected would happen. They did not dare to rush forward. The people who were injured by the shattered pieces were a living example of this. After a long time, when the thick dust finally dispersed, everyone could clearly see the situation on the arena. The 2-meter-tall arena made of heavenly mountain stones no longer existed. All that was left were countless pieces of rubble. Zhang He was lying on the ground, it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. The shadow-bearing sword in his hand had already disappeared. The arena master standing at the side had an indescribable dispirited expression on his face. The arena that he had painstakingly built was gone, just like that. Although he could obtain 1/10 of the wager as a commission, it was far from being able to compare to the damage to the arena. The situation was clear at a glance. Everyone knew that Xiaochen had won this duel. He had defeated a medial-grade martial master, Zhang He, as a medial-grade martial disciple. Such news would definitely shock Mo City. It would even spread far and wide in Chizi County. Xiaochen, who was an entire realm lower than him, had actually defeated Zhang He. This was definitely explosive news. This battle had also completely rid Xiaochen of the reputation of being trash in Mo City. Everyone could predict that an unparalleled genius had appeared. While everyone was discussing this, there was only one person standing there with a complicated expression on his face. He was Xiaochen's elder brother, Xiao Jian. Xiao Jian held a nidon in his hand. That was the nidon of the rainbow flame python. Before Xiaochen left, he had tossed it to Xiao Jian. Xiao Jian's heart was filled with a myriad of emotions. He really wanted to throw away the rainbow flame python's inner core. He didn't want to accept Xiaochen's charity, but he really couldn't bear to do it. 3 days later, in the Xiao mansion. In Xiaochen's yard, Bao quietly asked, "Second young master, the first elder sent someone to get you again. Are you going to reject him again?" Xiaochen recovered from his cultivation state and smiled bitterly in his heart. "You don't have to be so anxious. You've been urging me more than 10 times in 3 days." After the duel that day, although Xiaochen barely managed to defeat Zhang He, the time limit of the essence-swallowing pill was up. Very soon, the essence-swallowing pill would cause a backlash. He was worried that he would be intercepted and killed in the middle of his journey. After taking away the Qingying sword, he immediately felt it. In order not to let the side effects of the cloud-swallowing pill leave a hidden danger in his body, he had to use the cloud-swallowing pill. Xiaochen had not gone out for the past 3 days. He had been refining the remnant essence of the cloud-swallowing pill in his body. Furthermore, he had comprehended many things in that battle. Xiaochen did not want anyone to disturb him, so he chose to close his doors and refused to see anyone. Only now did he completely digest the essence of the cloud-swallowing pill. However, there were many things that he had comprehended in that battle that he had yet to comprehend. He could only think about them in the future. If he did not go out now, the first elder would definitely send someone to barge in. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen said to the door, Go and inform them that I will be out soon. After tidying up his clothes, Xiao Chen thought about how to deal with the first elder. Then, he opened the door and took a deep breath. Slowly, he walked towards the first elder's yard. Along the way, all the Shao clan disciples that he met looked at him with a completely different expression. The gossip that he often heard in the past no longer existed. Everyone's expressions were the same as they appeared on the surface. They all held reverence for Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen did not really care about the attitude of the Shao clan disciples. He took large strides forward and soon arrived at Xiao Chang's yard. Xiao Chang and Xiao Yulan sat at the stone table in the yard. Xiao Yulan was still as beautiful as ever. Every time he saw her, he would be moved. Cousin Xiao Chen, now that you are famous, you start to play cards. You are not even willing to meet your cousin, Xiao Yulan said half-truthfully when she saw Xiao Chen walk over. Xiao Chen first bowed to the first elder before saying from under the table, Cousin Yulan, I am sorry. I have been recuperating for the past few days. It is not convenient for me to meet anyone. When Xiao Yulan saw Xiao Chen apologizing seriously, she hurriedly said, I was just joking with you. Everyone knows that you are recuperating. Ever since Xiao Chen entered, Xiao Chang's gaze had been fixed on Xiao Chen, never leaving him. At this moment, he took over the conversation. Second young master, are there any major problems with your body? There are still some rank 7 herbs in the Shao clan's dispensary. Don't bear everything on your own. The Shao clan had been in charge of 7-Horn Mountain for over 100 years. It was not strange for them to have a few rank 7 herbs. Xiao Chen said, there are no major problems. Thank you First Elder for your kind intentions. Then I am relieved. I do not have to worry about the trial of Gloomy Forest in 2 days. After Xiao Chang said that, he changed the topic. What exactly did you obtain from the Thunder King's cave? Can you tell me in detail? Others might not be able to figure out the reason for Xiao Chen's sudden burst of combat prowess. However, Xiao Chang could easily link it to the Thunder King's cave. Xiao Chen's expression did not change. He had already guessed that the First Elder would ask this. He placed the lunar shadow saber on the table and said, this is the Thunder King's Thunderwood sword from back then. I reforged it into a profound ranked spirit weapon. I obtained the inheritance of the Thunder King from it. Xiao Chen's words were half true and half false. No one could find any flaws in it. Following that, he made up a story about how he obtained the inheritance. After listening to it, Xiao Chang believed this answer. He cautiously said to Xiao Chen, don't tell anyone about you obtaining the inheritance of the Thunder King. Otherwise, it will bring you a disaster. This matter is very important. My Shao clan might even prosper because of it. The Thunder King was the most famous Emperor Wu in the past 1,000 years. His fame in the continent could be said to be very widespread, deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Many people yearned for his inheritance. If they were to know that Xiao Chen obtained the inheritance of the Thunder King, then Xiao Chen would be hunted down endlessly. Xiao Yulan picked up the lunar shadow saber on the table and examined it carefully. She praised, this saber is really cousin's lucky item. Back then, it helped us escape from the cave. Now, it helped cousin obtain the inheritance of the Thunder King. It is truly a good saber. Xiao Chen smiled in his heart. Although cousin Yulan was very talented in combat, her thoughts were still very pure. She actually described such a strong demonic weapon as being lucky twice. He suddenly thought of something and took out the Qingying sword from the universe ring. He handed it to Xiao Yulan and said, Cousin Yulan, back then, you gave me all those moonstones. Now, I'm giving you this Qingying sword as compensation. When Xiao Yulan heard this, she smiled and said, I do not dare to take this sword. The Zhang clan's clan head came a few times in the past few days, wanting to redeem this sword. We absolutely cannot let them redeem it. How can we let go of something that is already in our hands? Xiao Chen said. The material of this Qingying sword was forged from top-notch frost iron. Furthermore, it contained a trace of righteous qi. However, because it did not contain a large amount of moonstones, its rank could not be raised. Its actual value was very high. Honestly speaking, Xiao Chen was a little reluctant to give it to Xiao Yulan. After he cultivated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation to the second layer, he had always wanted to refine a protective magic treasure. However, he was unable to do so due to a lack of materials. If he did not give this sword to Xiao Yulan, he felt that he could refine a pretty good magic treasure. If he gave it to the Zhang clan, it would be too much of a loss. When Xiao Yulan saw Xiao Chen's nervous expression, she smiled tactfully. Her pretty face was like a flower, completely devoid of her usual cold expression. She said, "Don't worry. Father's intentions are the same as yours. I will never let go of something that is already in my hands. As long as it is something that you give me, I will dare to use it." Xiao Chen blushed with shame in his heart. Cousin Yulan's personality seemed to have undergone a huge change. She no longer had the cold and distant attitude that she had when they first met. Today, she even joked with him twice. The tragic thing was that he did not realize it. However, he did not know the thoughts of a girl. When joking with someone, it depended on who the person was. If the other disciples of the Xiao clan saw the famous icy beauty of the Xiao clan chatting so happily with Xiao Chen, they would definitely be shocked. The three of them chatted for a long time about the trial of Gloomy Forest. Xiao Chang told them about his experiences in the trial of Gloomy Forest without holding anything back. Before they left, something unexpected happened to Xiao Chen. The first elder, Xiao Chang, asked about the martial spirit in Xiao Chen's body again. Furthermore, he requested to check it out personally. This caused the doubts that Xiao Chen had long ago to resurface. Could it be that the Blue Dragon martial spirit really had some unspeakable secret? When Xiao Chang's consciousness entered Xiao Chen's body, Xiao Chen hid the Blue Dragon martial spirit in his body into the white clouds. He used his spiritual sense to imitate a purple flame, barely concealing it from Xiao Chang. Xiao Chen returned to his room filled with doubts. He laid on the bed and thought about this question. Why did the first elder care so much about his own martial spirit? Xiao Jian's Blue Dragon martial spirit had already disappeared for 1,000 years. It was not strange for them to be cautious. However, Xiao Chen could feel a sense of fear from the first elder's attitude. That was fear of the Blue Dragon martial spirit. Every time he knew that the martial spirit in his body was not the Blue Dragon martial spirit, the first elder's attitude would become much more relaxed. What secret was this Blue Dragon martial spirit hiding? Just at this moment, Bai suddenly jumped out from the spirit blood jade that Xiao Chen wore on his chest. It looked around for Ao Jiao. Its anxious look was extremely cute. When Xiao Chen saw Bai's appearance, he revealed a smile. These few days, every time this little fellow came out, it would look for Ao Jiao. When it could not find her, it would open its pitiful eyes and look at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen knew that this little fellow must have gotten addicted to the heaven and earth essence. However, now that Ao Jiao had sealed herself in the lunar shadow saber, Xiao Chen did not know when he would be able to see her again. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen could not help but feel melancholy. Without that lass by his side, he felt that something was missing. Hugging Bai in his embrace, Xiao Chen started to infuse essence into its body, circulating the mysterious 9 heavenly revolution transformations cultivation method. This was something he had started doing after returning 3 days ago. Naturally, it was better for spirit beasts to cultivate as early as possible. Bai was an innate rank 6 spirit beast. In the future, it would definitely be a great help to Xiao Chen. Chapter 63. There were only 2 days left to the trial of Gloomy Forest. Xiao Chen still did not go out. During the day, he continued to comprehend the insights he gained from his battle with Zhang He. At night, he cultivated the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation. Xiao Chen felt that he had already touched the edge of the Battle Sage Origins changing character formula. However, after he returned, he tried to execute Flight on Wings again, but he did not succeed a few times. Xiao Chen pondered bitterly. One of the main reasons why he could execute flight on wings so smoothly that day was because he was struck by moon bright like fire. He was in a desperate situation, which stimulated his potential. Another reason was that he had consumed the essence swallowing pill, which greatly increased his strength. His cultivation realm was much higher than it was now. Regardless of the reason, Xiaochen was filled with anticipation for the trial of Gloomy Forest. Only in a dangerous place would he be able to put himself in a desperate situation, experiencing the essence of the battle sage origins changing character formula between life and death. Only through continuous battles could he increase his strength. Closing himself off from the outside world was not a good method. 2 days later, the trial was held as scheduled. Under the lead of the first elder, Xiaochen followed the crowd and rushed to the plaza in the city center. There, he would meet up with the other people from the 3 great clans. After that, under the lead of Mo City's city lord, they would rush to the periphery of Gloomy Forest to begin the trial. This time, there were 10 people from the Shao clan participating in the trial. All of them were at least superior grade martial disciples. Xiao Jian and Xiao Yulan's cultivation had even reached the martial master realm. They were definitely the strongest group of people in the 3 great clans. When they rushed to the plaza, the people from the Tang clan and the Zhang clan had already arrived. The gazes from both sides were very unfriendly. Recently, the 2 clans had suffered losses at the hands of the Shao clan. With the addition of old and new grudges, they could not wait to start a fight. On the stone platform in the middle of the plaza, the city lord had not appeared yet. Xiao Chen and Xiao Yulan were chatting casually. They did not feel bored, but they thought that the city lord was putting on a show. "You are Xiao Chen." Just as the 2 of them were chatting, someone suddenly walked over from the side. Xiao Yulan faced that person and frowned slightly. She said in a soft voice, "It's the Tang clan's people." Xiao Chen's spiritual sense had already seen the appearance of this person. He was not surprised in his heart. He turned around and smiled, "It is indeed me. I wonder why Brother Tang Feng is looking for me." When Tang Feng heard Xiao Chen call out his name, he felt it was strange. His expression changed slightly as he smiled, "It's nothing. Recently, everyone in Mo City knows about Brother Zhao's name. I just wanted to make friends with you." Xiao Yulan smiled coldly from behind, "Befriend. Your big brother, Tang Yuan, died on our 7-horn mountain. Instead of seeking revenge, you are here to befriend us." After Tang Feng heard this, the smile on his face became even wider. He said, "This fellow has always been at odds with me. Now that he died in Brother Zhao's hands, he deserves it. I should be thanking Brother Xiao instead. Why would I think of revenge?" Tang Feng was astonished. For the sake of the position of clan head, brothers would fight with each other. This had happened since ancient times, so it was not strange. However, back in Linlang Pavilion, Xiaochen already knew this person's character. How could he believe his words? When Xiao Jian, who was at the side, heard Tang Feng's words, his expression changed slightly. It was unknown what he was thinking. Xiaochen walked in front of Tang Feng and whispered into his ear, "I was the one who bought the inferior grade spirit stone in Linlang Pavilion. Do you still want to befriend me?" Tang Feng's expression changed greatly. His earlier smile disappeared and he said gloomily, "You have spoiled my plans time and again. So it was you who did it. Don't be too pleased with yourself. It is best if you don't go to Gloomy Forest. If you go, don't even think of coming out." Tang Feng flung his sleeves and snorted coldly. Then, he left without looking back. However, Xiaochen had a bad premonition in his heart. Since Tang Feng said that, could it be that there is a death trap waiting for me in Gloomy Forest? "Cousin Xiaochen, what did you say to that person to make his expression so unsightly?" Xiao Yulan asked curiously. Not only her, but the other Shao clan disciples were also looking at him curiously. Xiaochen smiled and said, "I told him that it is very impolite for him to come out and speak to others without even wiping his eyes clean." When everyone heard this, they all laughed. However, it left a shadow in Xiaochen's heart. He could not let it go, but he had no choice but to go to Gloomy Forest. There was no other way. Never mind, I will deal with whatever comes my way. Thinking about it now will only increase my worries, Xiaochen consoled himself. At this moment, the crowd suddenly became noisy. Xiaochen looked up and saw that it was indeed the city lord, De Gufeng, who had finally arrived. This was the person who used the most power in Mo City. Xiaochen was somewhat curious. He sent out his spiritual sense, but he discovered that he could not see through his strength. Xiaochen could not help but feel astonished. The city lord's cultivation must be astonishing. However, he did not expect it to be to such an extent that even he could not see through it. The city lord gave everyone a few words of encouragement, but he did not say anything else. Instead, he gave some instructions to the people behind him. Instantly, a few black dots appeared on the horizon. As the black dots got closer, they could clearly see that they were huge flying spirit beasts, curtains of bats. This was a type of mutated bat-like bird. It did not have any feathers on its body, only glossy black flesh. Its body was huge, and when it spread its wings, it was at least tens of meters long. When it stopped, it created a huge whirlwind on the ground. Sand and pebbles flew everywhere, making it hard for people to open their eyes. Everyone followed Xiaochang to one of the curtains of bats. Their faces were filled with excitement. This group of people had never seen a flying bird before. Now that they had the opportunity to ride it, they could not help but feel excited. Even though Xiaochen could use the gravity spell to fly slowly, he was filled with anticipation for this curtains of bats. Riding on a bird would definitely be a different experience. After the curtains of bats spread out its wings, its body and wings connected together, making it look like a huge platform. Under the instructions of the rider of this curtains of bats, everyone removed their shoes and socks and climbed on barefoot. When Xiaochen stood barefoot on the curtains of bats, he could actually feel a slight suction force locking his feet in place. When he wanted to lift his feet, he took a few steps forward easily. It was as stable as flat ground. Xiaochen was astonished. No wonder, even though there were so many flying spirit beasts, this curtains of bats was the most widely used. Although it was ugly, it was very stable. With a cry, the curtains of bats created a strong gust of wind, and they took off with a "so" sound. This curtains of bats did not rely on the flapping of its wings to fly. Instead, it relied on the control of the wind. Its speed was extremely fast. The group of people in Mo City below became smaller and smaller in the eyes of the crowd. Eventually, they turned into black dots and completely disappeared. The wind howled in their ears, but the suction force coming from the soles of their feet did not cause them to panic. The smiles on their faces had not yet faded. Gloomy Forest was very desolate, and it was quite a distance away from Mo City. Even if they rode on this curtains of bats, it would take at least 4 hours. Xiaochen did not want to waste any time, so he sat down cross-legged and started cultivating. A look of gratification flashed on Xiaochang's face. Such diligence, neither arrogance nor rashness. Furthermore, with the help of the Thunder King's inheritance, he would definitely accomplish great things in the future. Under the influence of Xiaochen, the excitement on the faces of the others slowly receded. They sat down cross-legged and entered a state of cultivation. Bang! After flying for a long time, the curtains of bats finally came to a stop. Xiaochen opened his eyes and put on his shoes and socks. Then, he gently jumped down. Looking at the gloomy forest in front of him, he muttered to himself, "This is Gloomy Forest. I wonder what kind of surprise it will bring me." Just at this moment, Xiaochen felt a gaze filled with a strong killing intent directed at him. Looking in the direction of the killing intent, Xiaochen saw that it was the Zhang clan head. He did not have any intention of hiding it. His eyes were filled with a strong hatred, and a strong killing intent surged towards Xiaochen. Xiaochen did not show any fear. He grinned and did not seem to care at all. "Elder Xiao, are these the people that your Xiao clan sent?" The Mo City's city lord brought 4 old men dressed in grey robes over. Xiao Chang nodded his head and pointed out the appearances of the 10 people to the city lord. When it came to Xiao Chen, under the city lord's request, Xiao Chang introduced them. Elder Xiao, this is not your first time here. You should be very clear about the rules. Xiao Chang nodded his head. Of the 10 people I brought, the strongest is only a medial grade martial master. The oldest is 18 years old. City Lord Dugu can check them carefully. In this trial of Gloomy Forest, the participants' cultivation could not be higher than martial master. Their age could not be over 20. Once they exceeded the requirements, they would be eliminated. Xiao Chen heaved a sigh of relief. He did not expect there to be such a requirement. If there were no martial grand masters, even if the Zhang clan and the Tang clan worked together to deal with him, he would not have any fear. After Dugu Feng and the others left, Xiao Chang looked at the crowd with a serious expression and said, I do not wish to speak too much about the dangers of Gloomy Forest. You should all be clear on this. No matter what grudges you have, once you are inside, you will all have to let it go. This trip will be filled with difficulties. Xiao Chen will be your team leader. His words are my words. When the crowd heard this, they revealed an astonished expression. However, they immediately felt at ease. With Xiao Chen's current strength, there was nothing wrong with him being the team leader. Xiao Chang waved his hand, not allowing Xiao Chen to speak. You do not need to reject. I have not said your mission yet. Led this group of people to survive and hunt for 100 rank 2 demonic cores. Then, you will have completed your mission. Xiao Chen felt helpless in his heart. However, the first elder had already made up his mind. There was no room for anyone to refute him. He could only accept this difficult task. Half an hour later, everyone had finished their preparations. Under Xiao Chen's lead, they slowly walked towards the dark forest. They could see that the other 2 teams had also started to move at this time. So cold. The instant they stepped into the forest, everyone felt a chill. The soil on the ground was actually black, causing their scalps to go numb. When they looked up, the towering and dense foliage blocked out all the sunlight. The forest was dark. Everyone's vision was greatly obstructed. When Xiao Chen looked in front, there was a black fog spreading out. He could not see clearly at all. Xiao Chen extended his spiritual sense. Under the obstruction of an unknown force, his spiritual sense could only extend to a radius of 200 meters. Xiao Chen was somewhat astonished. He had not expected such a situation to occur. However, this was not the time to complain. Xiao Chen took out the map that the first elder had given him and looked at it. Then, he led the group forward. After 20 minutes, there was still no change in the scenery before them. Finally, someone could not help but complain, Xiao Chen, why are you leading us? We have been walking for so long, yet we still do not see any demonic beasts. If this goes on, when will we be able to complete the mission of 200 demonic cores? Xiao Chen felt somewhat helpless. It had not even been half an hour and there were already people who could not endure the loneliness. This mission of being the team leader was really difficult. You want to meet demonic beasts so badly? Are you not afraid of being eaten by demonic beasts? Someone teased. What a joke. I am here to kill demonic beasts, not to feed them. How could that be possible? That person said loudly. Originally, Xiao Chen wanted to ignore him. However, at this moment, he felt a dangerous aura. He quickly shouted, Danger! Everyone, be careful. When the others heard this, they immediately became vigilant. The person who spoke first looked around but did not discover anything. He said impatiently, Danger? Where is the danger you mentioned? Why do I not see it? Pu ci. Right above that person's head, the others saw an extremely horrifying scene. A huge red tongue descended from the sky and instantly wrapped around that person. Chapter 64. What is this thing? The others all cried out in alarm. At the top of a large tree, there was a huge lizard circling above. Its bright red tongue was pulling that Shao clan cultivator upwards. That person struggled continuously, his legs thrashing in the air. Everyone stared blankly at this scene, watching as that person slowly left above them. They could not think of any solution. Lightning evasion. Rushing thunder chop. In a moment of desperation, Shao Qin aimed at the sky and executed the lightning evasion. A bolt of lightning tore through the eternal darkness of gloomy forest as he instantly executed the rushing thunder chop. The instant the lightning solidified, Shao Qin appeared in the air like an ancient warrior. The lunar shadow saber in his hand gave off a dazzling light as he chopped at the red tongue with the force of rushing thunder. The lightning disappeared and the light faded away. The forest was once again engulfed in darkness. When the people below saw that Shao clan disciple falling from the sky, they quickly went forward to catch him. This Shao clan disciple was named Yilan. He had relied on his strength to steadily climb up the ranks of the Shao clan's core disciples. He had cultivated in Seven Horn Mountain for a long time, fighting against all sorts of sinister spirit beasts and seeing all sorts of horrifying spirit beasts. His mental fortitude was incomparably strong. However, at this moment, he seemed to be scared silly. After he was caught by someone, the horrified expression on his face did not fade away for a long time. Yilan, what did you see? Where is Shao Qin? That's right, where is cousin Shao Qin? Why is he not back yet? Xiao Yulan asked anxiously from the side. However, these people did not have any flying martial techniques, so they were unable to see what was happening. After a long time, Yilan slowly came to his senses. He said, "How terrifying. That is a rank 2 spirit beast fire lizard demonic transformation. I have killed many of them in Seven Horn Mountain. However, I have never seen such a huge fire lizard. Its entire body is emitting a surging black chi. Its huge scarlet eyes are even more horrifying than the Lizard King in Seven Horn Mountain." When everyone heard his description, they were all startled. They had not gone far and they had already met such a horrifying demonic beast. Furthermore, it was only a rank 2 demonic beast. When they thought of the rest of the journey, they were all startled. Cousin Shao Qin went to save you. Why is he not back yet? Xiao Yulan asked anxiously. A look of shame flashed on Yilan's face. He did not expect Shao Qin to save him. He said awkwardly, "I only saw a flash and then I fell." Xiao Yulan said anxiously, "I want to go and take a look." "Don't go yet. Look at that piece of tongue that fell off," Xiao Jian, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said. The half of Wu Yu's tongue was over a meter long, and large amounts of purple liquid were flowing out of the wound. Everyone, the demonic beast, the purple blood. Everyone of the blood. The Chen clan. He blood, he it, he. He the clan of, he. This was not the scariest part. The bright red tongue seemed to have a life of its own as it twisted and struggled on the ground, as if it was trying to escape from something even more terrifying. Everyone had a horrified expression on their faces. No one had ever seen such a strange thing. For a moment, they were dumbstruck and extremely shocked. Suddenly, a face appeared on the tree trunk. It was a huge mouth. Black teeth could be seen in the mouth. Suddenly, a face appeared on the tree trunk. It was a huge mouth. Black teeth could be seen in the mouth. Chi! Chi! The huge mouth swallowed the tongue whole. It chewed continuously, as though it was tasting a delicacy. Squeaking sounds could be heard continuously. It's a tree spirit. A tree spirit is already a rank 3 demonic beast. We have only walked such a short distance. How did we meet it? Someone recognized the horrifying tree spirit and shouted. Let's go quickly. This tree spirit is not something we can deal with now. Once it finishes eating, it will be our turn, Xiao Jian said calmly. Right. Let's go quickly. This is a rank 3 demonic beast. It is equivalent to a martial grand master. Xiao Yulan's expression was incomparably anxious. She said, "We can't leave. Cousin Xiao Chen is still up there. If we leave, what will happen to him? First senior sister, Cousin Xiao Chen's strength is clear for all to see. He will definitely be fine. On the other hand, it is too dangerous for us to stay here. Many of them wanted to retreat. Just at this moment, the tree spirit finally finished eating the red tongue. The gray eyes on the tree trunk stared at the crowd. It revealed a strange smile, like the face of a ghost. Not good, it has finished eating. We can't leave now. Xiao Jian quickly drew out the spirit weapon in his hand and entered a state of combat. Shwa! Countless tree branches grabbed at the crowd like ghostly hands. Instantly, many of them were grabbed by the hands and feet and pulled towards the huge mouth. Xiao Jian calmly chopped away the few tree branches flying at him. Then, he ran towards the person who was grabbed by the tree branches. Along the way, there were tree branches flying at him. However, he chopped them all off. Xiao Yulan was doing the same thing as him. The other Xiao clan disciples were all struggling bitterly on the tree branches, unable to do anything else. Dang! After saving another person, Xiao Jian grabbed a tree branch that was flying at him. A ferocious flame surged out from his hand and spread along the tree trunk with a shwat sound. The flame of a cultivator was many times hotter than a normal flame. If it came into contact with a dry tree branch, it would definitely be burned to ashes in an instant. However, at this moment, Xiao Jian's flame could only burn along the surface of the tree spirit's branches. Although he could clearly feel the pain of the tree spirit, the damage caused by the flame was not small. After being strengthened by the rainbow flame python's inner core, Xiao Jian was somewhat dissatisfied. The strength of the flame did not meet his expectations. Cousin Yulan, we have to think of a way to break out of here. This tree spirit will not normally move. Xiao Jian chopped off a few more tree branches and frowned as he looked at the surrounding tree branches. Xiao Yulan looked at the sky helplessly. Her pretty face was filled with worry. Finally, she said, let's work together to open a path. Let's send this group of people out first. Then, I will come back. Xiao Jian did not say anything else. The two of them used their own abilities, displaying their strong martial techniques without holding anything back. The tree branches in front of them were all shattered. When the people behind saw the situation, they quickly followed behind them. In an instant, tree branches flew everywhere and leaves fell. The group of people advanced forward with great difficulty. Although every step forward was incomparably difficult, they were still advancing step by step. Soon, they were about to break through the range of the tree branches. Just as everyone was about to relax, countless tree branches suddenly sprouted from the ground. Like withered hands, they grabbed onto everyone's ankles and lifted them into the air. This tree spirit was too crafty. It had been using the tree branches on its body as a method of attack to numb everyone. Just as they were about to make a move, it suddenly used its trump card, causing everyone to fall for it. What should I do? Am I going to be eaten by this tree spirit? Woo woo. I don't want to. A girl in the group suddenly cried. When the others heard this, they were all horrified. When they thought of the horrifying scene of the tree spirit swallowing the red tongue, their hearts could not help but tremble. Xiao Jian and Xiao Yulan continuously broke the tree branches under their feet. However, every time they were about to land on the ground, a few new tree branches would grow and grab onto them. In the end, the tree spirit seemed to know how powerful the two of them were. A few more tree branches flew out and grabbed onto their hands and feet. For a moment, they were suspended in the air, unable to move. TSK. TSK. Tisk. When the tree spirit saw that everyone was under its control, it let out a strange laugh. When the crowd heard it, it was filled with boundless despair and fear. Meteor burst. Suddenly, a shout came from the sky above everyone's heads. A human figure descended from the sky. There seemed to be a faint image of a dragon on his body. Boom! There was an earth-shattering sound and mud flew everywhere. Underground, a large tree branch was chopped off by Xiao Chen. A pool of purple blood spurted out. Xiao Chen gently turned his body to avoid the blood. The tree spirit cried out in pain. The tree trunk writhed on the ground. As it writhed, the ground trembled. The Shao clan cultivators who had just landed found it difficult to even stand on the trembling ground. Xiao Chen took advantage of this opportunity to leave the ground. With a few shwa shwa sounds, he chopped off a few of the larger branches of the tree spirit. A few streams of purple blood spurted out. The tree spirit was clearly in even more pain, and the trembling of the shop became even more intense. Bang! Xiao Chen circulated his strength to his feet and stomped down fiercely. The trembling ground under his feet suddenly calmed down. The might of this stomp completely suppressed the tree spirit, and the ground finally stopped trembling. Purple thunder, true fire, shoot! 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 The flames hovering between his fingers spun rapidly. Then, 3 purple flames shot into the trunk of the tree spirit, leaving a trail of flames behind them. The tree spirit's cries of pain reverberated in the forest, causing one's heart to tremble in fear. Xiao Chen turned around and said to the crowd, "Leave quickly, I will bring up the rear. We must rush to the Shao clan campsite marked on the map by tonight. There is something strange about this gloomy forest." When the crowd heard this, they quickly retreated. When Xiao Jian saw the purple thunder true fire that Xiao Chen shot out, he had an extremely depressed expression on his face. However, he still followed the crowd and retreated. "Cousin Xiao Chen, be careful." Xiao Yulan saw that Xiao Chen was fine and felt relieved. The tree spirit finally stopped wailing. The brown eyes on the ghastly face stared at Xiao Chen viciously. The tree branch that Xiao Chen chopped off started to regrow quickly. 2. A withered yellow tree branch shot out from the mouth of the ghastly face. The end of the tree branch turned into 5 slender fingers, grabbing at Xiao Chen like a ghostly hand. Dang! Dang! Xiao Chen brandished his saber to block. When the lunar shadow saber came into contact with the tree branch, it actually gave off a metallic clanging sound. The tree branch was actually not chopped off by the lunar shadow saber. Flight on wings, one-line chop. The simple saber hacked heavily on the withered yellow tree branch. The ghostly hand was chopped off by Xiao Chen, but after a while, another ghostly hand extended out. Xiao Chen was astonished. He did not want to be entangled with this. The tree spirit was extremely strange, it was hard to say what other moves it had. He retreated a few steps and executed the lightning evasion to escape. An electric light flashed and Xiao Chen's figure appeared 500 meters away. He relaxed in his heart and was about to determine the direction to look for Xiao Yulan and the others. A shockwave came from behind. Xiao Chen's heart trembled and he quickly dodged to the left. Chi! A tree branch pierced through his arm. Xiao Chen cried out in pain and broke out in a cold sweat. If he had not dodged in time, this tree branch would have pierced through his heart. No one had expected the attack speed of the tree spirit to be able to catch up to lightning. Chapter 65. Looking at the bloody hole in his left hand, Xiao Chen took a deep breath. It seemed like his left hand was temporarily crippled. Taking out a blood-replenishing pill, Xiao Chen crushed it and turned it into a medicinal liquid. Then, he smeared it on his wound. Immediately, he felt a cooling sensation, and the pain from his wound lessened significantly. After tearing a piece of cloth from his clothes and tying it up, Xiao Chen walked forward in search of the tree branch that had shot at him. After walking 10 meters, he saw that after the tree branch pierced through his arm, it pierced through a few trees before finally nailing itself to a large tree. Xiao Chen used his strength to pull it out and observed it carefully. He discovered that this withered tree branch was only as thick as a thumb and was not more than a meter long. However, it gave off a faint glow. Feeling astonished, Xiao Chen enveloped the tree branch with his spiritual sense. Finally, he noticed something different. This tree branch contained even more spirituality than Mo Fan's weapons. Thinking about a spell in the compendium of cultivation, it required such a natural item with spirituality. Xiao Chen happily placed it in his universe ring. After he determined the direction in which Xiao Yulan and the others left, he executed the lightning evasion twice in a row before he finally caught sight of them. "Cousin Xiao Chen, what's wrong with your left hand?" Before he got close, he saw Xiao Yulan running over from the crowd and asking with concern. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "It's nothing, it's just a small injury. It will be fine in a day. Let's go, I'll bring you to the Xiao clan campsite." This time, no one dared to refute Xiao Chen's words. Along the way, no one revealed any dissatisfaction. After the earlier incident, Xiao Chen had completely won over the prestige of this group of people. For the rest of the journey, Xiao Chen kept his spiritual sense extended. When he met any demonic beasts, he would avoid them. There were no battles along the way. After 2 hours, the group finally arrived at the Xiao clan campsite. This campsite was a simple one that the Xiao clan's seniors had set up for experiential training. There were only 3 simple wooden huts in the camp. Although they were simple, they had all kinds of daily necessities. It couldn't be any better as a place for everyone to live and rest for the next few days. His divine sense didn't detect any danger in the camp, so Xiao Chen said, "Everyone, clean up the camp first. I haven't been here for so long, the dust must have accumulated." The crowd dispersed. These cultivators were the elites of the younger generation of the Xiao clan. At this moment, they were not careless in their actions. Xiao Chen was much more satisfied. "Ah! There's a dead person here." A scream interrupted Xiao Chen's thoughts. Xiao Chen quickly ran over. The deceased was an old man wearing the uniform of the Tang clan. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Why did a cultivator of the Tang clan come here? The condition of the old man's death was very horrifying. His chest was split open and his heart and lungs were gone. It seemed like he was eaten by a demon beast. No wonder the people who saw the corpse were so panicked. Xiao Jian, who was inspecting the corpse, said, "This person is a martial grandmaster. Furthermore, he has not been dead for long." Everyone was astonished. Why did a martial grandmaster of the Tang clan come to the Xiao clan's camp? Furthermore, he was killed. A martial grandmaster was actually killed in the periphery of the camp. This was too unbelievable. "Quick, look! There's a corpse here as well." There was another cry of alarm. This corpse was discovered in a wooden hut. Xiao Chen moved like lightning and rushed over. The condition of the corpse was exactly the same as the previous one. When Xiao Chen saw his uniform, he was astonished. This was someone from the Zhang clan. Furthermore, he was a martial grandmaster. All the clues in Xiao Chen's mind were linked together. A scene appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Before the trial of Gloomy Forest started, 2 martial grandmasters sneaked into the Xiao clan's camp. With the cultivation of a martial grandmaster, they could easily kill everyone here. However, for some unknown reason, these 2 martial grandmasters were killed by demonic beasts. Thinking of this, Xiao Chen trembled in fear. In order to kill him, the Tang clan and the Zhang clan even dared to go against the rules set by the city lord. What else would they not dare to do? However, I want to see how many martial grandmasters you send to die, Xiao Chen thought to himself. Everyone worked together to find a place to bury the 2 corpses. The main reason was that they were afraid the corpses would attract even more powerful demonic beasts. When they saw the 2 martial grandmasters who died a miserable death, a shadow was cast in everyone's heart. Following that, under Xiao Chen's instructions, everyone started to set up some alarm traps around the camp. Everyone had the experience of training in Seven Horn Mountain, so they were very familiar with setting up such traps. It was not difficult at all. "Yilan, come with me to check out the surroundings. We will officially start hunting demonic beasts tomorrow," Xiao Chen said to Yilan, who was leaning against a tree, after resting for a while. Yilan did not feel like moving. He muttered, "Why me?" Xiao Chen smiled, "Let's go. Along the way, didn't you keep saying that you wanted to kill demonic beasts? Now that I'm giving you a chance to perform, are you still not satisfied? When everyone heard this, they all laughed. They felt that this brat was asking for trouble. He could only blame himself for being too full of himself on the way. Xiao Chen, let me accompany you. Your left hand is injured. If you meet any demonic beasts along the way, they might not be easy to deal with, Xiao Yulan said as she came out of the wooden hut. Xiao Chen shook his head, there's no need. This camp is a little strange. You are the strongest here, so you should stay here and look after me. My hand is fine. Furthermore, we are just going to check it out. There should not be any danger. Hearing Xiao Chen say this, Xiao Yulan did not insist. She only reminded him to be careful. Although Yilan was unwilling, he still followed behind Xiao Chen, heading to the south of the camp. In the dark forest, the shadows of the trees danced and the cold wind blew. Unseen dangers were always hidden in the darkness. As Yilan followed behind Xiao Chen, he kept feeling that there were pairs of eyes staring at him from the darkness, causing him to tremble in fear. Yilan looked at Xiao Chen's face. He was expressionless, making it impossible for others to guess what he was thinking. In the dark night, Yilan appeared exceptionally calm. Pu Si. A red phantom appeared in the darkness, heading for the two of them. A tyrannical aura spread through the forest, scaring Yilan into a daze. It's the fire lizard. This is its tongue. Yilan, who had already developed a shadow of this demonic beast, started to tremble as he spoke. Under Yilan's astonished gaze, Xiao Chen grabbed the red tongue with his right hand. An electric light flashed in the dark night, following the red tongue and entering the fire lizard's body. The long tongue was covered in flickering electric light. In the dark night, it looked like a ribbon of electricity made of thunderbolts. It was very breathtaking. Ah! There was a cry of pain. The fire lizard withdrew its long tongue and let out a cry of pain. It was extremely horrifying in the quiet forest. What are you standing there for? After it. Xiao Chen rushed forward. Before he left, he looked at Yilan and urged him. N. Yilan nodded his head fiercely and chased after Xiao Chen. The fire lizard's 20-meter-long body was covered in red particles. A black chi spread out from the fire lizard's body. Its 10-meter-long tail continuously slapped the ground. A pair of scarlet eyes stared at Xiao Chen and Yilan, who were rushing over. The scene before him triggered the shadow in Yilan's heart again. His legs trembled as he said, Xiao Chen, can you deal with it? My legs seem to have gone soft. Xiao Chen smiled coldly, is this all you've got? Then why did you come here to kill demonic beasts? Where did all the courage you used to fight to become a core disciple of the Shao clan go? I have already infused electricity into its body. It will not be able to move for a while. If you are a man, then go and stab it with your sword. Because of what happened earlier, Yilan had already cast a huge shadow over demonic beasts. Hence, Xiao Chen brought him out this time to get rid of this shadow. Otherwise, if Yilan continued to be like this in the official trials, not only would he die, he would also be a burden to the other members. At this moment, Xiao Chen only needed to stab him to get rid of this shadow. But what? You don't even have the guts to do that? If not, I will send you out of Gloomy Forest tomorrow. You can continue being an outer disciple, never to raise your head again. Is it really not able to move? Yilan, are you still a man? Even women are not as wishy-washy as you, hesitating at the moment of life and death. Do you really want to die that much? Xiao Chen's merciless words were like sharp knives carving into Yilan's heart, slowly igniting the anger in his heart. Damn it, isn't it just a fire lizard? I have killed countless of them on Seven-Horn Mountain. Yilan shouted and cursed. He flew forward and stabbed his sword into the fire lizard's body. The force behind this stab was very strong. Furthermore, he was a superior grade martial disciple. When the sword stabbed in, purple blood spurted out and splattered on his face. The fire lizard cried out in pain again and struggled free of the purple light in its body. It released a baleful aura and swung its huge tail at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was startled and wanted to make a move to help. However, he saw a killing intent flash in Yilan's eyes, which were also filled with a baleful aura. Yilan turned around and ruthlessly chopped at the black python's tail. Dang! The huge force sent Yilan flying into the air. However, he did not panic. He somersaulted in the air and landed firmly on the ground. He held his sword and stood upright, looking at the fire lizard with a mocking expression. The long robes on Yilan's body fluttered. At this moment, even the eternal darkness of gloomy deep forest could not cover the boundless fighting spirit coming from Yilan. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and revealed a satisfied expression. This Yilan was not weak after all. As long as he overcame the shadow in his heart, it would not be a problem for him to deal with the fire lizard. However, it was hard to say whether he could kill it or not. However, Xiao Chen was not too worried. As long as they familiarized themselves with it and experienced life and death situations, everyone would improve. This was the true meaning of the trial. To experience the true essence of the martial way, this was the fate of all the cultivators in the Tianwu continent. It was also their goal. Man can conquer the heavens. My fate is my own and not the heavens. Towards the great Tao, even if the road ahead is filled with thorns, I have no fear. With a sword at my side, I will carry the will of a cultivator and never stop. Such a life would not be ordinary and useless. Life would not be mediocre because of loneliness. Just like those people who chased after their ideals in his previous life. Although their paths were different, the great Tao was the same. If you had a firm belief in your heart, you would definitely have a bright and dazzling future. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.